3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerds and Words podcast. Glad to have you here. Today we are doing episode 65, and today I'm joined with Blombear and Kerr. We haven't done a podcast episode in quite a while, so I'm actually just excited to be doing one. Like that alone, I'm just happy that we're actually doing another episode. Thank you for Blombear and Kerr for making that happen. And Kerr, could you give us a little bit of insight of what's going on?
So basically, for those of you that's kind of been out of the loop, our podcast is going through like a bit of a growing period, I guess you could say, in the sense that Moreland and Tim aren't really playing Bdo anymore nowadays, and I know for them, like, they don't really feel like they contribute much to a Bdo podcast, right? And then it kind of like leads to the game just being constantly shit on and like bashed and not very constructive criticism of the things and like conversations. So what we're trying to do now is we're gonna split the podcast up into like 2 different days, in the sense that, okay, so we have the portion with Potion and I, right? So Potion and I will grab like 2 different guests from the community, right? Like Evil Do Us Harm, Blonde Bear, Choice, people like that, to like just come on every week, right? And just kind of mix it up. And then we'll also have our podcast, like another episode every week or every 2 weeks, where it's me, Potion, Moro, and Tim, right? And then that's where we'll just talk about like New World and whatever else. And I think that's just the formula that's going to work the best, because it's kind of hard for the other 2 to have input on a BDO podcast if they're not really playing the game,
Yeah, and I think that hopefully this will solve our issue. Like, we're obviously still trying to play it by ear. We're just getting started back up, and so things might change, but that's like the current plan, and I think hopefully that works well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll work.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with our weeks. Let's get into what people are here for, which is BDO and what we're doing in it and all that stuff. Start with our guest, Blombear. What are you doing? What's been going on?
Hello. Well, it's me going for the merchant ring. That's about really it. I took a kind of a break in the middle of October for my birthday, and I got to Guru 1 like cooking, which I've never done before because I don't do life skills, and I did it because of the Imperial change, and then I wasn't really like streaming too much in October, but most of November I've been trying to stream as much as possible because like I had so many schedule issues and there were so many different like overtimes I had to do and stuff with work. So November I've kind of picked it back up, and we've been doing streams, and the drops are really cool, and it's been pretty consistent. I feel like a lot of my viewership is like people just wanting to be there when it happens, because I'm at 825 hours now of grinding just the Olin's piece. So, yeah, luckily Olin's is a fantastic spot. It's getting tons of buffs. I'm super happy, and yeah, I'll be grinding Olin's until I get it. And I got plenty of stuff set up, so it's like not the only thing I'm working on, but
I'm pretty curious. Would you argue that the Olin's piece is the only one that matters, right? Because like comparatively, it seems that the other merchant ring pieces are pretty common comparatively, right?
Yeah, when you look at like some of the other rare item grinds in this video game in the relative hours, other than anomalies such as the compass for people like Big and Shiny, Kugels, and some of the other streamers that have like had like their really crazy long recorded hours, and some other people in the community that are like in the high numbers. Other than that anomaly, it's every other piece is pretty good on the averages for rare item grinds. Now it's a little bit more than some other ones, but it's still like not that bad. You know what I mean? Compared to the Olin's piece. It seems like because we have such a little pool of amount of people that have been able to record their hours, we have a bunch of people who got it in like 200 hours or less that are like, oh man, I got it. And then they get the merchant ring. And then there's other people who are like at 6, 7, 8, 900 hours. And then you have like 1200 like Leduc. And so like we can't see the higher averages because they just haven't gotten it yet. So like it looks like, oh, Olin's isn't that bad. But then you see people like me and others that have like been going, not getting it. And that kind of pulls the average back a little bit.
To put that
because like, oh, go ahead, Potion.
Yeah, I feel like putting that in perspective for people, right? First, the merchant ring gives you a discount on the marketplace, right? That's what
tax evasion, baby. Tax evasion.
Music to my ears. And then second, the other hard assignment in the game is the compass, right? And so,
Arguably, yeah.
like that compass piece, people have been grinding that for, sometimes even thousands of hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's really kind of daunting, and people might not understand, but 1,000 hours is like usually like almost half a work year. Like that's a lot of grind time. That's a lot of grind time. And like 2,000, like around 2,000 to 2,200 is like a normal work year, right? Unless you have like a contract job where you put in like more hours, but normally around 2,000 to 2,500 is like a normal work year. So you've basically put in like half a work year trying to get this potion piece, which when you put in that context, which it's just mind blowing. That's a crazy amount of time.
I mean, the thing about like just I guess me in general is I've been fairly lucky at a lot of things in the game. So I feel like this is one of those like, okay, this is it. This is the penance, If you can't show that you're determined to work out this piece, then all of that extra luck and stuff in the beginning was for naught, right? And so, personally, like for me and for the community, it's like I'm not gonna ever like give up. I mean, I wouldn't have given up if I had hard times on the other rare grinds, but this is where I can actually show people like, hey, like I'm still going. I'm not going to stop till I get it. Like I've gotten lucky in the game, and that puts some people in a bad taste in their mouth. But I still love to play the game, and I'll keep going.
Yeah, you've been called the RNGesus of BDO a few times. So
a few times. I feel like some people have taken the reins of that recently because some of the things some of these streamers are tapping these days, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I guess it's, like you said, like this gives you a chance to prove that you're more than just your good luck, right? There's more to more to Blombear than just that, and I think that means a lot both to you and to like your community probably.
Yeah. I'm determined, and I even if I wasn't lucky on some of the other grinds, I would still go for them. Like I love these style of games, the grind. To push and push and push. Because once you hit a certain amount of hours, which is over the average, it's then more about not even the piece itself, but it's about the determination and your endurance, and like if you have the like fortitude to really show that like like you can do it.
Mm-hmm. What would you say? Like you said you were doing some life skilling in the side runs. Like how long do you usually go with this grind? Do you go like 400 to 800 hours? Like how long do you have to go before you have to start taking a break and start doing another game or like doing something else in BDO?
It's been kind of all right. I mean, like New World came out, I played that for a week. It was fun. That was a nice break. And then the Lost Ark beta came out, and I played that for like 2 or 3 days, and that was a lot of fun. And honestly, between that and just like the times where like I work a lot and I get overtime, and then I basically have to sleep and go back to work instead of being able to do anything, I feel like that's enough time to cut in. Because the Olin hours it's not like I'm sitting there grinding 8 straight hours into the night, right? I've had nights where I'll be off for 12 hours and I'll be sitting there looking for people to do Olins with, and I'll get like maybe 2 hours in a 12-hour period. And so it's not like in the history of grind where you can just go 8 straight hours and you're like exhausted. It's like I'm sitting here like spamming people in their DMs looking for a group, and sometimes I can get a full good set of hours, and sometimes I just don't. So it's not as exhausting as it could be if I was grinding for something else, which is kind of nice. But it definitely is taking its time, that's for sure.
Now,
I think that's like the roughest part, though, right? About the Olin piece is that it's not fully in your control because you can only grind when other people are ready, right?
I think if I could solo it, I would have it. The fact that I can't solo it means I don't have it, right? Because I can do the trade route, but that's 1 in a million versus 1 in 250,000. And even though, you're only killing like 52 or 60 golems an hour, depending on your clear speed, versus like being able to do a trade route every 10 minutes on the channel swap cooldown with your double mapping, or even like a 10-minute channel swap run, that's only 16 pieces for a 1 in a million, time to go. So, if I could solo it, I probably would have it. I think personally, because I would have a lot more hours in it. But
yeah, makes sense.
Being at the mercy of people can be rough. Luckily, I have if I eventually get this piece, I have a massive list of people who have dedicated tons and tons of hours that I have to thank for everything. The mentoring is
I feel like it's almost you almost need to do like a montage where while the montage is playing, like names are scrolling across the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just like too many shies. Like I'm literally grinding right now with a shy that has done at least 200 to 300 hours with me. Trisdane, who's like the FPS guy in like the Twitch video community, he's done like he did like 250 to 300 hours of paddocks with me. And then Ice, who did like the crypt hours, and he basically tanked the mobs while I slapped them up. And yeah, that's just a few honorable mentions of a long list of people I've got to thank for just taking the time to help me out so much.
Now I have a question. So Olin Valley is a 300 AP grind spot. There's like these big dudes that slam their arm in the ground, and they have like this cool mechanic where you have to beat them up in a certain way. I have a question though. I was really curious, how necessary is a shy? Like, what's the difference in having a shy and not having a shy in your group?
Before, originally when the spot came out, people were like, well, shies are going to be good, but it's not necessary in the end. But as the optimization of the spot has gotten more and more, as the optimization has gotten better and the numbers have gone down, like to these finite points of like crazy high trash loot per hour, shies are pretty kind of necessary, because not only are they good for like newer groups for like survivability purposes, but if you're ever wanting to push the limits of the grinding, they are very necessary, in my opinion, for pushing higher numbers of trash. Like the recorded best grinders here are like Lon, Striker, and Shy, and when recorded, a Shy does more damage than a Striker if they're like separated unbuffed. Like a Shy will just do more damage directly at the same gear level to an Olin solo, because they can just use those buffs on themselves.
My God,
with the buffs, it's just crazy.
I kind of completely forgot about Shy being so high DPS for like the super high end grind spots, because that used to be a thing for Sakurai for a while.
They were huge for Sakurai for a minute.
Yeah, until people got geared, and then when people got geared, everybody's like, Shy's garbage, get it out of here. I'm like, I was so confused when that happened, and it's been a long time. So it's still like that then, huh? Shy still does like really good damage at like the 300 plus AP spots.
A really good Shy could basically make the difference between 1,000 trash and 1,500 trash, because of the timing of the buffs, the way that the buffs are done, and if you got like two like monkey DPS who are just slamming their keyboards and killing monsters as fast as possible, if the Shy times their buffs correctly, you can basically force like certain phases, and everything kind of is in your control. Not that it should be, because everybody should be cooperating for the push phases and stuff, but yeah, Shy has a lot of control in that.
Yeah, for me, like when I was grinding Olan super heavily, I would take, like, there was times where I would take a 269 AP Shy over a 300 AP Suck Striker or Suck Lawn. Like, that's how important the Shy is, because like, especially if you have no way to shred the evasion of the golems, you're not at maximum hit rate. So, and then also like Blomber said, just the extra survivability that you get from the Shy buffs, and like the extra attack speed that Shy gives you makes some class just feel completely different, like feel complete. I don't know if you've like ever experienced Shy buffs, but like if you play a class that's really slow, the Shy just makes you feel
I couldn't play Striker. When I stopped grinding Olins and went to like Ash Forest and other grind spots, because I was on Striker at Olins, I couldn't grind Striker anywhere else because it was so slow. I had no idea how to keep. I couldn't keep up because it was too slow. Like I couldn't get the button correctly. Yeah, it was horrible. So I was like, I can't play that.
That's really kind of interesting. I'm like really curious how things are going to get shaken up with the class rework, but we'll get into that a little bit later, because I feel like that's kind of like a big play on that potentially. Now, Shies can't have they don't have an awakening weapon, so you can't have like a Black Star awakening weapon, right?
No, it's one of the more debated topics about Shies and like whether or not they should have. I personally think that I understand that thematically the soul is a different item concept than something else like a weapon, and it's not used as a weapon. However, for the sake of the game, I feel like you should be able to tag a Shy. I think way more people would optimize to tag Shies, and there would be a lot more group grinding going on if people could tag Shies. The fact that Shies have to get a separate like Garmos heart just for their soul, just to put it in that, just so they can get the crystal slots and everything, I think is really sad, because it's just like, if you're Shy, not only are you not like maybe having fun on like a DPS you'd prefer, but you're also like taking the hit on like having to spend more on your materials and items trying to get another pen on top of your other grinder class, and also getting another Garmos heart, which is it's a lot of money.
Don't even get me started on Garmoth, bro. You literally can't buy Garmoth right now. It's fucking impossible in NA. Apparently EU only has like 30 pre-orders or some shit, but in NA we got 200 pre-orders. Like you can't get a Garmoth heart, because I've been trying for so long now.
That's why they introduced the quest line, right? Because in KR for so long people couldn't buy Garmos hearts because there's just not enough gotten and sold. So they introduced the guarantee quest line. That's quite literally why I was in the game. It's just so people could get it for their build, because it was like the only thing people were missing. crazy.
Yeah, because like at the time I was like, why did they introduce this quest? It's stupid because it's like, okay, well,
it's like not worth it. It's $8 at the end of it. Like, why would you do that?
it's 6 to 8 months
It's
to
not to be
get the
affordable.
Garmoth heart. Yeah, it's like 6 to 8 months of never missing a Nuver to get
Mhm.
enough Nuver scales for it. Plus,
Yeah.
it's $8 silver from the vendor items and other stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like at the time, our Garmoth was like $40 or $4. So it was like, hey, why would you ever do that? But now it's like, okay, now I see like, oh, dude, you're fucked if you don't do that quest.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they need to add like sort of like a miniature drop to Garmoth where if you get like
Pieces.
8 of them, right, you can combine them into a Garmoth art. So there would be fairly common. Like you'd on average get one like once a month you get one or something.
Yeah, or just better rewards for bosses. I know like the whole AFK at bosses, people aren't DPSing and stuff like that. But the problem is like people don't want to go to the bosses at all because they feel it's futile, and more people feel futile about it, then people will just go for the 2 crons. And if like maybe the rewards were more akin to I have to run all the way from my grind spot to the boss to get like good DPS numbers and
Mhm.
making it worth the time to go out to the bosses, which again I hate equating everything to money in this game, but that's how the mindset is. Then like
Yeah.
maybe
Garmoth's
get more
drop
people to get
weight
out there.
definitely needs to be like checked up because,
Yeah,
dude,
because didn't
there'd
they
be
buff Bell's
times.
drop rate at some point throughout like
Yeah,
the 3 years it's been out or whatever, and they were like, okay, we adjusted it and so it's better. And then they have a craftable method, and we don't have that for Garmoth. They got Karanda, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, like people like consistency, right? Like even if like technically going to Vel and getting a Vel's heart is technically like okay money per hour by the average drop rate, but it's you want to go for 2 years to get your average drop rate, like
Yeah, no.
it's the consistency which is the problem. I need like little like snacks along the way to the big drop.
Yeah.
I mean, even if like the Kaffir's bundle was a higher drop rate or something, because like because there'll be a lot of times at Garmoth where we'll go and I'll be watching the chat and not a single person gets a Garmoth heart. Like that shit's crazy.
I feel like there should always be there should always be a guaranteed drop in my opinion, but
Yeah. It's just the consistency of it. Like, the whole reason why people wanted the RNG protection for potions, like, retroactively, that makes sense. But for Garmoth Heart, it's sort of like the same problem, right? It's like the RNG to get the item is just too ridiculous. So, people would actually go there and farm their own Garmoth Heart if they like once a month they would get like a sliver or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it depends on like the perspective of like the item. If Garmoth and Vel were supposed to be these incredibly rare items that like no one in the community had and they're like super rare, then sure, like I get the drop rate for them. But at this point, it's like there's common set builds and there's like a whole preset that people run through to get their like best and slot items, whatnot. It's like in Bdo Mobile, sure I get it. Like the boss gear in that game is like actually 0.001% rare. But in this game, it's like everything's so optimized, and we have so many events that give away like free Vel's hearts and stuff like that, like through the boxes we've had throughout the years. And it's like you can't at this point try to make it a rare item because it's just too common already in the game.
Yeah, well, there needs to be a reasonable path to it. I don't have a problem with things being rare, but you need to feel like you're making progress on it. Like, who cares if you have to go to Garmoth 2 years to get your Garmoth heart? I don't mind about that. I think that's fine. But I just need to see my progress.
Yeah, I also think that another aspect of it is just make it so that the value of the Garmoth heart is reflected in the market value, right? Because like with Vel, like Vel is also comparatively pretty rare of a drop, but the value of the Vel goes up to like what 11, 12 bills. So it's like okay, people consistently are willing to go so that they can sell theirs. Whereas with the Garmoth, right, like the cap is so low for the demand of the item.
Yeah. I do.
There's a lot
of items like that right now, like you said.
Yes, that's what I was going to agree on. There's a lot of items at this point in the game that like I have agreed in like item caps in the past, but at this point in the game, I feel like some things should start getting either higher caps or uncapped. Like a lot of cooking materials are just like absolutely screwed on the market and pre-ordered to the hundreds of thousands because they don't have a reflective price, which inherently nerfs how much money those players make per hour, which could be okay in a sense. Like if the market was being manipulated, but like at this stage of the game, it's like certain things like life skills need to be buffed because there's just no way to make a profit from some of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
I definitely
terrible.
think that's one of the biggest things that's created the gap between life skilling and combat that we have today, especially like once Hadoom hit, right? Because like with
Hmm.
like market tax has always been an aspect of the
Oh
game,
yeah.
right? All of your per hour stuff gets taxed, but with Hadoom, hardly any of your like gains are taxed, right? You have the void seeds, you have the 3 mil elemental little spark things, you have the trash loot, et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hardly like almost all of the silver income that you get from Hadoom is non-taxed except for like BMCs and such. So and while as life skilling, you're kind of at like the mercy of the marketplace and it's like stringent caps. Like Roughstone has had over 1 million pre-orders ever since like 2017. Yeah, it's
Since
been
it got
like
introduced.
yeah, like a crazy long time, dude. It's like why
Yeah.
is the cap so low? So I think that's definitely one thing they could look into if they wanted to bring life skilling back into relevancy is to kind of figure out the market caps a little more because it's like okay, if things go high enough, then like people will do it, right?
I feel like the marketplace caps are there for good reasons. I think the overall problem is that they are set by the developers and then they're not updated by the developers. And so if they
If it
if
was
Yeah,
yeah, if they updated them
updated,
every so often, it'd be fine.
yes, 100%. I
So
think that if they were properly analyzed and adjusted and made sense within like the like parameters of what they need to be, then sure. But
yeah.
to eliminate like the like idea of RMTing markets, but at this point it's like such an archaic thing that just hasn't been changed, and they're just like, well, we just don't have a guy for that, I guess,
Yeah,
to do that.
I kind of just feel like what they should do is make it where it's automated, where they have like a very clever use. Like if it's been at max price for or near max price for a month, then you just increase the cap, right?
I'm just curious if they're like scared that like if it's a free market, then people won't have to go do the new grind thing to make money, right?
I
Maybe the major concern is like, oh, if someone wants to go gather rough stone for 300 million silver an hour, the guy can just go do it, right?
I
And
actually think the reason why they're
it's
not
kind of
doing it though is actually malicious in nature. I don't think they're doing it because of ignorance or because
they
they're
won't be able to
lazy.
do the content
I
that they
think
put out.
I think they want to sell cronstones, and they realize that if there's a lot of people right now who are swiping for Pin Black Star, and if you can buy one on the marketplace, they're probably going to cut into like 10 to 20% of those people who are not going to swipe. They're just going to buy it off the marketplace instead.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if it's more if it's like if it ends up being that or ends up being just like negligence and like at this point who knows, right? Who's the
Yeah.
guy that's in charge of marketplace value shifting? Like
There
that guy.
definitely is nobody.
He's like this guy's got a desk and that's his like little thing. This nameplate says Marketplace Adjustment Bureau. You know.
BDO economists.
Yeah.
It would be nice. I do think we were talking about this the other day on my stream, and I think one of the major problems with it right now is actually BDO's balance. Like if they just had a balance team, like it would fix the marketplace caps, it would fix like grind spot balance, it would fix class balance, it would fix open world PvP, siege. Like all those problems are not like design problems, right? The
It's a
design,
numbers thing.
yeah, it's the design of all the activities are fairly good. It's really the balance of those activities which is the core problem. Or the
Yeah,
lack
I
thereof.
think a lot of it comes from like Korean catering slash like just a difference in the idea of the game, right?
Like
Because
in
like
culture, yeah, 100.
yeah, because like Koreans are really grind heavy and they don't really care a whole lot about life skilling from like what I've seen slash been told, and they also aren't too crazy about like PvP as well as we saw in the infographics that they showed us during the last ball. So it's like it puts it in a really weird situation where it's like if I don't know, it's like how
Well,
do you keep catering to the
To both
Korean player
communities.
base? Yeah, if like
I
the other
mean,
communities care about PvP and stuff.
I don't buy that the Koreans don't like PvP because literally League of Legends is super popular there. PUBG is super popular there. Like they have so many different fighting games that are popular there. I don't believe that they don't like PvP games. I think that I think they're smart. I think they're smart and they say, "Hey, this game's pay to win, so that means the game's not cannot be competitive because it's pay to win." So the PvPers just don't play BDO because of its pay to win.
I don't know. Lost Ark is insanely pay to win, and it's like the number one game.
They
I
re-
think it's just something
I,
about PvP and BDO.
I hear they've removed a lot of that pay to win though. Like they've
I mean, you have they definitely make it easier to progress as time goes on, and like they have their equalized PvP, but like, I mean, it's still pretty damn pay to win.
In what ways? Because I heard they removed the ability to auto clear dungeons in Russia and Korea, and they made it where the pay to win
So
stats are now only pay to win into your max level, and then everybody's equal footing.
So basically the premise for the pay to win for Lost Ark is that you have a weekly cap on the dungeons that you can do, and the weekly cap on like what do they call them, like the dungeons and the raids give you upgrade materials, right? So you either can buy those upgrade materials from the shop, or you can run like 10 different alts, which will give you more access to those raids. So it's pay to win in that aspect, but it's not pay to win in the aspect of like, okay, you just pay and then you can like smash people in PvP as much, because the only uncapped PvP is on some of the select islands.
Okay.
But it's more so in like you're arbitrarily limited in upgrade materials behind like daily dungeon caps, and you could, you either have to make multiple characters or you can pay for more
But
upgrades.
that,
So it's more PvE based.
well, I mean, if it's PVE, then I feel like that's just like a pay to convenience, then, right? Because pay to win, like, if you're not getting advantage in PvP, then I don't really care too much.
Yeah, it seems really weird that their advantage in Lost Ark, the main advantage is like, even though you have some PvP that's like part of uncapped gear, a majority of it's the PvE that you're paying to win. It's like, I don't know, I feel like paying to win to PvE, it's like in World of Warcraft you could buy gold, and so you could buy like best BOEs when they came out in the market, but like nobody did that. The whole point of the game was to progress with your gear and get the gear from the raids. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna buy BOEs unless you like are weird.
I guess the main
Yeah.
pay to win that would go
Like a
with that would
I
be
don't know
like
how it
world
works.
first clears and stuff like that. People would
I
just buy their
guess.
gear for like world first clears, and I guess that would be a problem. But
Sort of. I mean, they already do that though. Those people have like millions and billions of gold on like the world first teams in World of Warcraft because they sell runs, like, which I also don't agree with in the game. But that's like because it's not right. But I don't know. I feel like maybe the PV is just that good in Lost Ark where people are like, dude, I gotta get another DPS point so I can hit that. I don't know. I haven't played the high end PVE, but
that makes
if it's
sense.
that good, I'm so excited to play that game because that's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because once there's trading involved at all, then you can just get a huge advantage because of your time invested in the game in the past.
I will say, I think the uninterest or the lack of interest by the Korean community in BDO PvP is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if we think back, right, what was the end game for BDO PvP back in 2016? Node
Siege.
Wars, Siege, and RBF. What is the end game for BDO PvP in 2021? Node Wars, Siege, and RBF. So like I think that is a little bit as to why the overall interest is kind of fallen down in BDO PvP, probably from like the Korean point of view, just because like there isn't, like, it hasn't changed, right? Like they haven't added new game modes, and when they did add a new game mode that was like wildly successful, they took it out and tried to monetize it as a standalone, but that's like a completely different like conversation. But
Yeah.
I think the PvP falling out of like popularity is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah, I do think that, if you don't make content for PvPers, then the PvPers will just go away, and they didn't make content for PvPers for a long time. And then on top of that, I think in a lot of ways they actively made it worse, right? They made open world PvP worse. They made all the PvPers compete with other PvPers, which the whole point of open world PvP was to smash noobs.
And if you flag up on people and get 0 karma, your new free pen gear turns off.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I saw that they made it so if you're negative karma, the guaranteed pin gear doesn't work. Dude,
Imagine having an off button on the gear.
Yikes.
Hey, you're doing. I don't agree with that. Morally, I don't agree with you killing that person. So we're just gonna turn the switch off, and you're just gonna be in timeout.
I feel
Go
like
kill some monsters.
I feel like a temporary punishment like that is good, but it's like they're going from like 0% punishment to 100% punishment, and I feel like if you lost like 1 AP, and then the lower your AP gets, the more AP you'll lose from that crest ring. That would make a lot more sense to me, because then it feels like you're getting slowly punished for being more and more of a bad guy. I would at least get that a little bit, but just to turn it off completely seems like a lazy fix.
I also think that I also don't really like how being red isn't really like they don't allow that as a viable play style, right? Even with bartering, like they made it so that there's naval karma now, and you can't barter if you're negative naval karma. So there's like, there's not really people being pirates anymore.
I do like the idea of a person being able to play like the pirate style, so to speak, like the pirate life or the negative karma life. But the problem is that if you don't have punishment systems in place, then it just turns into New World PvP where everyone just camps each other at town until someone turns off their flag, right?
Yeah,
and
it has to be pros and cons for it.
So I don't mind there being a negative karma bad guy system, but there has to be some it has to be a lot of work to be a bad guy, right? It can't be easy. It has to be really, really hard, so that way not many people are doing it.
Yeah, like in arcades, they had a perfect pirate system that had tons of cons, but tons of pros as well. So it was like kind of an ultimate sacrifice to eventually go pirate because of the bonds you'd sever between like your actual faction. But like there were pros because like you could just keep getting benefits from doing the pirating life, like stealing more people's stuff, killing more people was beneficial and had point systems. And I feel like man, if they had a similar system in this game, we would have another faction of people, not just have all the people we have now. Like it would be crazy. But
yeah,
dude, the arcade like pirate system was so crazy because so you'd have people that were super invested in fishing, right? They'd have these like fishing groups, fishing caravans, yeah.
Oh,
and so like you'd have somebody you'd have people that were paid to like progress and bodyguard like the fishing caravans and people to watch the sonars for upcoming like pirates and stuff. And then you'd have the pirates who would play like stealth classes and like sit in the water invisible and like watch. And then you'd have like the pirates come through and try to gank and steal the fish and turn it in themselves.
Everybody ditches the one fish guy that got caught. They like one guy hops on the wheel, one guy hops on the guy, stuns the guy, takes the ship, starts driving off with the ship in the back. And oh man, that stuff, I've been on both sides of that, and that was the funnest stuff
that
ever.
Was like my favorite part of Arcade, and I wish BDO fishing would incorporate something like that. Like it was so good. Just completely rip that system off from Arcade because that was one of the few things that they got right. They're like fishing and like trading and like the ability to play that role of being like an anti-hero, like not like being a red player.
Speaking of Arcade, Cacao has taken over publishing and I guess development of the Arcade game. They're making it subscription based.
Yeah, they bought it, right? They bought it.
I can't believe they're making it subscription based.
Pretty crazy what like Cacao's just taking so much on their plate at this point.
Yeah, dude, they bought what's the ship MMO, the ship game? Like the flying or no Eve. They bought Eve a while back, right?
Oh yeah. They bought Eve Online.
Yeah, they bought Eve a while back. They bought Arcade, and then they bought something else.
They started doing advertising for Eternal Return too. It's a fun game I like to play. It's like a MOBA and also BR.
Well, they've turned themselves into a Gamigo type company, right? Where they have a whole bunch of different IPs, and then they're making the majority of their money off mobile. But they also want like an MMO section. That's why because they missed the money from BDO.
I imagine, yeah.
Either PA or Cacao bought Eve. I don't remember. I think
Pearl Abyss
it was PA.
Eve.
It was Pearl Abyss, not Cacao. Okay,
yeah,
I forgot.
Well, they've both investing in like other companies and stuff.
Yeah.
EVE Online makes a lot of sense because they have the ability to retain players very well, where BDO has the ability to attract new players pretty well. And so
Junior, the powder is 1-to-1. Oops, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, you're good. I think it's really interesting though. Like I want to see what Cacao ends up doing with Arcade, since we're talking about it. Because like I feel like there's so much opportunity there that was squandered. That even if Cacao has like, if they have even half a brain, like they'll be able to make that into a huge game again.
It takes a lot of work, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to kind of undo a lot of bad stuff that happened.
Yeah.
The thing I don't really understand is they're making it subscription based for Arcade now. So you have to transfer your account, and there's like a transfer period to transfer your Arcade Unchained account, and then you have to buy a subscription if you want to continue playing. So, which feels a little, I don't know, a little messed up.
I just don't think I can be bothered to play another Arcade release. It's not getting
re-released. The 6th time. It's not getting re-released. It's just getting transferred.
Yeah, just like a transfer. I don't know. There's just so many aspects of the game that they've messed up with, like the Haram gear dailies. Like they
Yeah.
made
Oh,
it so
yeah.
that dailies is the way to progress. So any kind of early game dungeon or content doesn't matter. You're just doing Haram gear.
Yep.
Running
Um,
Haram, and Haram.
I do feel like if Cacao takes over, like they have, and then they start doing good things, like let's say they remove Haram dailies and they increase Haram scrolls from like mobs or dungeons or whatever, I think it could like revitalize Arcade into being like a viable MMO. It's just it's like
Yeah.
right now, like they've taken over. I'm like, all right, that's cool, but what are you going to do? Why are you going? Are you going to fix anything?
Exactly.
And if the answer is no, we're not going to fix anything, then I'm not really interested. But if they go through, they start fixing all these issues, like remove the dailies from the guild, remove the dailies from like Haram, remove the dailies. Like this is they added like a crap load of dailies that nobody want to do. Like I feel like
No one
making
can humanely do them all.
yeah, they need they make like remove labor from the game, or they need to make it where you get there's like some way you can regenerate as much as you want by just playing the game. Like there's like a lot of little things like that where if they can actually address those issues, then I think Arcade could be like a game I'd want to go back and check out, because I quit it originally because it was just dailies. I logged in every day and I did the same like 500 dailies until I got done or had to go to bed, and then there was more dailies I didn't even complete.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's the problem with releasing the game at the stage it was, though, right? If it naturally progressed to that point, and then new players were only doing that, and then there were old veteran players doing the other mechanics in the game, the game would have a thing. But the problem is that like they introduced the game at the most recent patch where like everybody has a catch mechanic, and it's like there's no regular player. This is all everybody's new player, so everybody's participating in the system, which doesn't really work. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I agree. I just couldn't. I just can't really bring myself to play Arcade again, man. Even with Cacao trying to revitalize it, like I feel like the real play, if anything, is for them to just put their efforts towards Arcade 2 and
Yeah, wait on
try to
I-
and use the things that they learned from Arcade 1 and try to not make the same mistakes again. Personally,
I want to use Arcade personally as there's only like 300 players playing right now. Like that's it. Like I want them to basically use it as a testing ground to see what people like and don't like. Right? So like, oh, you tried a subscription model, people did not like that. All right, what? Try something else. Like try removing dailies, see if people like that. Like just use it and like make mistakes with the regular Arcade and like figure out what works, and then you can make unlimited mistakes because nobody wants to play it anyway. But if you do something, people start wanting to play it, then you realize, whoa, we need to figure out what that is and put that in Arcade too. Make sure that happens, and then you can learn a lot of quick lessons without any like very low cost.
I mean, I definitely think that if you're on a ship that's already sunk and you're in that submarine territory and it's probably never going to float again, I mean, definitely some drastic things would be on the table, right? I mean,
Why not?
it's not like they're going to ruin their player base when they typically only have 300 concurrent players anyway, right?
Yep.
So, like, the worst thing is like you do nothing and just tread in the current way they are. I think they should, like you said, I think they should take some risks before Arcade 2.
And like that gives XL Games like the opportunity to learn and experiment, like the company, because I'm sure a lot of times I bet if you ask the developers, they probably have no idea why Arcade failed. Like probably half of them, they probably have no major idea. And maybe some of them do, but like you can at least verify if your ideas were correct about why it failed or why it didn't fail.
Well, also because the game has changed hands so many times, right? Like there's been so many. There's been what 4 companies that have published Arcade over the years, right? Like there's
Ton, yeah.
it's changed hands so many times that definitely that a lot of the old feel for the game and like what made it super popular back in the day. There's no doubt that it's kind of like fallen to the wayside or just not known anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they are giving people who bought the original game like a few months of the free subscription. So they're like, I think if you bought the original game based on what price you paid or something, they give you a certain number of months for free of the subscription.
Do you know how much they're charging? What their like subscription model is going to be?
I think it's around $10 or something. I would have to look it up though. That's just off the top of my head. I really feel like it should be free up to like finishing the first continent, and then if you want to go to the new continent, you have to buy the subscription. I think that would make a lot of sense because that way people could get in it, they could try it out, you could experiment with all those free players. And
okay, so it is $10.
It is okay.
Yeah. So I think honestly, that would have been better for the game back in the day, dude. Instead of putting all of those pay to win metrics that they put into the game, just making the game a $10 subscription back in the day would have helped the game much more, personally.
Yep. And I don't think it's like people don't like a subscription. It's that the current 300 people are playing a game, like they already don't want to be playing the game probably, and you're just giving them a nice excuse, to like finally kick the bucket. So I feel like a subscription at this point doesn't make a lot of sense. But I agree, like back in the day that was like a perfect thing. Like like RuneScape did a perfect example of what you should do for a subscription model for a free to play game. Right, you make a free-to-play beginner zone that has lots of content for people to play, have a couple 100 hours in there, and then you want to play another couple 100 hours, $5 a month or whatever it is, and that worked great for RuneScape, and I imagine it worked great for most other games.
I mean, it works super good for FF14 too, right? Like you get the game for free up until a certain point, and then you pay a subscription.
You get the first 2 expansions for free or something? And you can just play through all of that. There's some guy who's been playing for like 3 years, just trying to complete all the free content.
Yeah, you get a lot of stuff for free. So like, I think the subscription model, honestly, it's probably one of the best, because if you think about it, it's like, if you play a game that you buy, a lot of games nowadays have these in-game, like for example, Value Pack, right? It's not technically a subscription, but it technically is a subscription, because if you're playing without Value Pack, fuck, dude, like, dude, the market tax that you lose from not having a Value Pack. So like, BDO isn't a subscription game, but it might as well be a subscription game in a way if you think about it.
The Value Pack is so strong nowadays because they just keep adding more and more and more stuff to it every time they add something new.
I'm not against like games that go subscription models. I think that like going subscription models and then not being heavily into pay to win, is a price that I think a lot of people would be willing to pay. It just kind of depends on like how they go about it, right? Like obviously the first step is make a game worth playing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Arcade will ever be able to reignite that spark. It's kind of like with Blessed, right? Where it's like Blessed, where they remade it, but they used the same name. So even though the most recent Blessed was like made by was made completely differently, like by a different group of people, it's like, you still have that name and that sour taste in people's mouth that goes along with your game. So I don't know if Arcade 1 will ever do well again. I think they just got to put their eggs in the Arcade 2 basket.
Yeah. I definitely think there's room there, but it's like an uphill battle, so to speak, right? It's like, how much of an uphill battle do you really want to fight? I do feel like Kakao has a lot of player faith to earn back, because they have Elyon now, and it's been And then they have Arcade, and people need a reason to trust Kakao games again, and so I think they can buy a lot of player trust by just doing what's right by Arcade, and then they're not going to be losing a ton of money on that because the game's already developed, right? You have to pay maybe a couple $1,000 a month for some servers for a few hundred people. Like, that's a very low price to pay for a lot of good player faith, and that'll go a long ways in Elyon and in Arcade 2, I'd imagine. But I don't know. What were we talking about in BDO before we got sidetracked? I completely forgot.
We were talking about market caps, I think. We can segue to something else if you guys want to.
Yeah, marketplace caps are definitely a mess. They had some events recently in BDO that we haven't covered on the podcast, so we might want to mention those real quick. They had a Halloween event, which had a new Halloween boss that's already over now.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I think
it was pretty cool.
I think they did a good job with it. The only thing that I came back from New World, and right after playing New World, whenever you go to a corrupted portal area, it changes your entire map to black around you, and then red for the area you're in. And that whole lighting and like shadow theme seems so cool to me. And after going to Marty's lab, I saw the trailer for Marty's Halloween party, right? And when you actually go there, I was like, it's this bright sunny day, right? Or it's maybe nighttime, and I was like, they just need the corruption vibe that they have in Eve or in New World for that. And I was like, that's what they needed for that. But I thought they did a good job. But they had one of the mini games from Squid Games in the Halloween event, which I thought was pretty fun.
Yeah, the red light, green light.
Mm-hmm. Which apparently is like a Korean version of like Simon Says, which is pretty cool. What was the other thing they did? They had like a Halloween dungeon where you could go into dungeon, polymorph into like a pumpkin dude, and then you try to like find your way through this puzzle to the end of it without getting caught.
Yeah, that was cool. That was very hard.
Yeah,
Very
I heard
cool,
it was very hard.
Very, very hard. But it got you a lot of dice, which got you a lot of Caphras and other materials and stuff if you pushed for it. Which is cool.
Did you guys?
All of them was awesome.
Did either one of you try out the Halloween boss?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was very interesting because you have to choose one of 3 machines based on whatever you wanted, and there were multiple boss spawn times throughout the month of the event, and basically you played rock paper scissors because that's the only way to really break down a simplistic style of the mechanics. Otherwise, it was like DPS phases. Then you had to stand in certain areas, and it was really, really neat watching a bunch of people who were turned into robots waddle around in like these really odd Marnie contraptions.
Yeah.
Fighting other robots and then fighting the big giant robot boss. It's just like so unique and cool, and it's not like crazy intricate or like complex, but really, really cool. I liked it.
Yo, I actually found an image of what Marty looks like.
Yeah, he's some good hot blonde looking guy, dude.
They changed him, bro.
Wait, what?
They retconned him. Yeah, they retconned Marnie. He used to be this like old looking dude, but they made him like this young Chad.
Yeah, he's like the Labyrinth. Like, have you ever seen like Labyrinth with David Bowie? He looked like the Labyrinth guy.
Yeah, they retconned him, bro. They changed his entire
bro.
His original
look.
image was like this little old man with like a peg leg, and he had like an eye patch and a bunch of technology all on his body or something like that.
Yeah,
he's like a cyborg.
Yeah, and they made him like this young hot dude now.
Yeah, he's like Howl's Moving Castle, hot young guy.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I like the old one. Like, I actually went back to look him up. In one of the original trailer for Black Desert when it was releasing in Korea, had Marty in one of the trailers with like the big like muscle like abomination dude he creates. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Marty. And then I was like, oh wait, they changed him. So I thought it was pretty interesting that they added him as like a visible thing there. And I don't know, maybe I guess he's like been reborn, his new spiritual body. His technology's advanced so much you just can't tell he's a cyborg anymore. What was another event they did? They had a new Wire Dungeon that came out. I haven't done the Wire Dungeon. Have any of you guys done that?
Yes.
Yep.
Is it good? What do you guys think?
Yes. I think that originally I was upset at the difficulty because I'm like, I still have some reservations, but after completing it and getting the mechanics down, I think that the difficulty is totally warranted. It's very difficult. It cannot really be done with randoms unless you have a lot of time on your hands, and it's really, really good.
My biggest complaint with it is some of the bugs that happen in the boss fight. So in the boss fight, even if you play absolutely perfectly, there is some RNG involved. So for example, there's one stage where the room will do some lights, right? And you have to basically count the lights, and whichever color light has the most like flickers, you have to go and grab a bubble shield from that specific light. So that you guys protect yourself from the next one-shot mechanic that's coming up. Well, there's also a stage where the boss will do like a vacuum to a one-shot, and you have to hide behind these like brick slabs so that you don't get vacuumed into the boss. Well, RNG can happen, and you can get that vacuum stage right as you get the color stage. So you can't run and get your bubble protector shield because you're at the vacuum stage, and if you walk out from behind the slab, you'll get one shot. So that RNG happens. There's also some weird RNG where if you do like certain mobility skills while you're getting vacuumed in, you will be pulled under the map. Yes. Yeah. So like some little bugs like that kind of like off-put it, but honestly, I think I really do like the dungeon. Like it's like Blonde Bear said, if you don't have coordination and you're running it with randoms, you will not have it's really, really hard.
Yeah, if the first dungeon is like a bike with training wheels, this next dungeon is like a unicycle, and you have to like go through a hoop that's on fire. So it's much more complex, much more difficult, but much, much, much more satisfying. I feel like when you like truly complete the encounter, you're like, okay, we actually earned that. We didn't get lucky. We didn't get this. Like on top of like the RNG mechanics and stuff too, because like half your wipes are going to be through RNG. if you can get through that and you like really push on those levels, like getting past those mechanics and stuff is really, really just a satisfying completion to it, to be honest. And like it's so interesting to see how complex they can really get with the dungeon, because the first dungeon was very simple, right? Other than like the whole dungeon itself, just the boss fight, you're going from you have a boss that you hit and you split DPS, which is easy, and you kill ads and it just lets you do more damage, so it's just a DPS check, into a color phase where you just walk in little pet spawn globules to the color tower, so it's like Simon Says, and then you DPS again with ads. Like very, very simple when broken down like that, and then you just don't stand in the fire. And then this other fight has like 20 different mechanics going on at all times. There's so much stuff going on, and it's so complex but so fantastic. And you have to dodge, and you have a DPS thing that increases and lowers the damage you do. You have like these orbs flying around that create portals and fish to deal tons of damage to you. There's like random stun like chamber fields that you have to DPS your allies out of. And then like in the first 25%, one of 4 mechanics can happen. And then when you hit 75%, another mechanic happens while the other mechanics are happening. Like it's just like there's so many levels and like just so many things going on at once. It was fantastic. Absolutely a blast with a group of friends that you really just want to like push the content and complete on.
Do we lose you, Kerr? My last Kerr. We'll usually be back in a second. It might just be his internet messing up. So I was like kind of wondering about these dungeons. So one of the big gripes for the dungeons is that people feel like they aren't very repeatable. Do you feel like this is a problem for the dungeons?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is we already have content where you just run around in circles and repeat and repeat and repeat. And although I agree repeating the dungeon doesn't have much of a use other than collecting knowledge, I definitely understand that if someone wanted to repeat the dungeon over and over and over again, like they should be able to. I don't like the weekly lockout, but I don't know. I feel like some things can just like be repeatably abused to a point where like, yeah, sure, if you could clear it, and like on your average group, it takes people like 2-3 hours. There's going to be one group that's doing it in like 30 minutes or something, and they're going to make it so that they're making like a bajillion money an hour. So it's like complicated to really balance the kind of content, and the way that they do it is making it a weekly lockout, which I think is fair. But it definitely sucks because like if you want to keep doing the content, you just kind of can't. That kind of sucks, but it's complex. It really depends on whether or not you believe that like this content should be the repeatable content or not. Doing it once and done is definitely a thing that some people are just going to do. I really, it's complicated because I don't know how you would make that content farmable unless it gave you money. But
what do you think about it just not being a fun activity to do more than once? Because a lot of people feel like they do it one time. And then it's just like the second time is like, well, I've already seen everything there is to offer.
Yeah, I mean, like, in other games, there's modes like that, right? It just sucks that like they probably put a lot of time and effort and money into this, and it is going to be one of those things you just kind of run and do once. So it like sucks, but there is just content video games that are like that because like again, money is time in this game, and all people care about is money. So all they're going to do is want to kill mobs and make money to buy their next gear upgrade.
That makes sense. I personally wanted to see something like a horde mode where it has the dungeon mechanics, but the mobs that are in there rotate, or like the rooms rotate. And so that way, every time you do it, it's similar, right? You have the water theme every single time, but maybe the room has a different layout, or the boss is slightly different, or maybe there's a different mechanic or something. That way, it has a little bit of variety, but it's like that way you can do it more than once and not feel like you're bored. So that there's kind of like a reason to come back every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like the way that the dungeons have turned out so far, like in the way the difficulty kind of escalated, especially because like I think that it's fine to just want to do something differently that's not 100% worried about making the peak silver per hour, because even if you do know the like mechanics of the new dungeon, it's not like a cakewalk, honestly. Like it's still really hard because like you can mess up. So I think more content like that is good personally. So it makes me really curious to see the next dungeon.
the difference between a game like this and a game like RuneScape is like there's tons of things to do in RuneScape that aren't a pure 1-to-1 money ratio thing that are still valuable and worth doing. And so many people are like centered around the money making mind of BDO that like getting more content that is just content to just eventually experience and do, and maybe have a unique thing. Like say you did the dungeon like 50, 60 times, and then you got like a piece of a costume or something that was like unique to the dungeon, or it's like some cosmetic armor piece. Then like I would want to just eventually work on that. Like, or if you did it 60 times, there's a pet. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like stuff like that needs to continuously be added into the game, because like that's the only thing separating us from like having just long-term content for people to complete random goals.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like you could go through and like do a certain quest line, right, in RuneScape, and that would be like a fulfilling thing to do. Where there's not really many of those in BDO that are enjoyable.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, it makes sense. I guess it just comes down to what the players who are currently playing BDO enjoy, right? Do the majority of people enjoy doing a dungeon, or is it like a minority of people who are enjoying doing that? Anyway, I do hope they actually complete the storyline of the dungeon, right? Like, I hope they still do all 4 dungeons they promised they were going to do, even if that takes a little bit more time. Because I like the idea of having that alternative content, like you said. Like, I do think that's a good thing for the game long term, as long as they make sure those are balanced and upkept over time. I kind of feel like if you do all 4 of them, like you should get some type of cosmetic reward, right? Like a special colored title or something.
I'm sure they gotta have something in the end. Like, you know, like you've completed all the major quest lines and achieved all the knowledge. There's probably gonna be something, because every dungeon has had, hey, get a little bit of knowledge. Oh, hey, get a lot of knowledge with a quest reward. So if they didn't have something like that, I feel like it would be kind of out of place if they didn't do that, because they have been doing it.
Do they have any energy tied to that yet?
I don't believe it's energy based. I think it's all entirely just quest based for like a fail stack. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't the new thing. They released the mansion finally, which seems to be in conjunction with the Lost Ark closed beta. So I guess people's theories on it being them delaying content until Lost Ark releases can make sense, because it literally as soon as they did Lost Ark closed beta, they're like, "Hey, the mansion's coming out this week. Get excited for the mansion, boys! Here it comes!" And they were like pumped, ready for that to come out. And then they have a few more things to go with lab, a few new furniture options and stuff for customizing it. They're on the way. One thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was actually the Valencian grind spot rework. I didn't realize that they had reworked all of the Valencian grind spots.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, it's one of the best changes they've done, I think, for like newer players, in my opinion.
I think the change to trash loot is a really good. I think trash loot should be the same at all grind spots, basically, and at the loot at those grind spots should be the reason you go to the newer ones and stuff, right? I kind of like that, because that way the silver per hour is equal for new players and veteran players, and it kind of equals that playing field a little bit.
The biggest thing that I like about the changes that they did to Valencia, it's much easier on inventory space and much easier on weight as a new player. So like you don't have the constant bombardment of inventories full of like whatever you call it, of trash, right? So the trash number you get per hour isn't very high, so you're not using as much weight, but the value of the trash is higher, so it ends up being better in the end. Plus, they add the adding in the boxes so that you don't get tons of like random bears and bears weapons and shit filling your inventory. The boxes stack. I think those two things are some of the I think those are some of the like 2 biggest changes that they've made in a long time. Like, it's really good.
The one thing that made me really mad about it was that blue loot scrolls don't work in Valencia anymore at all. They like the drop rate does, but not the drop amount. The drop amount, all mobs in Valencia now drop 1 trash loot, and so when you use a blue loot scroll, it goes up to, you can't get half a trash loot, so it rounds down. And so all blue loot scrolls give you no additional trash loot. So that 50% bonus trash loot is literally just a straight up lie when you go to Valencia. It offers you nothing.
Yeah. You got to do blue plus Agris to get the trash.
And the thing is, you can only do that for like 2 hours, or maybe like maybe an hour a day. Like, that's just, I don't know. And then on top of that, you have to use yellow then, right? And if you use yellow and Agris, then again you have the same bug, and you actually lose 50% of your trash loot. So you're only getting half the value of your yellow loot scroll. So that means half the ways that you can use your loot scrolls are currently broken in the game in Valencia, and it's not like a hard solution, right? It's like if you ever have an odd number, then either yellow loot scroll with Agris breaks or blue loot scroll breaks if you have an odd number. And if the trash loot that drops is always an even number, then all loot scrolls work. They all work properly. Nothing's broken about it. So it's not a hard solution, right? You double the amount of trash loot where every mob drops 2 instead of 1. You have the weight and you have the value of the trash. And then blue loot scrolls work and yellow loot scrolls work, Agris works, everything works. So I'm kind of disappointed.
I think what they're going for with this change is because they've also been lowering the amount of Agris that the mobs use, or that like the amount of Agris you use per kill of the mobs. I think the way they're going for this, it's like, okay, if you're new to the game or if you're just a mid-tier player, you can go to these Valencia spots, and let's say you only have like an hour or 2 hours to play the game a day. You can go to these spots, pop a blue loot scroll, turn your Agris on, grind for 2 hours, hitting 200 mil an hour, make 400 mil in 2 hours just chilling at the Valencia spots, and then go on about your day. Like, I think it's good if you look at it from that lens, right? Where it's like, okay, it allows people to make a lot of silver for 2 hours a day, maybe even more if you're doing it like Centaurs. It has really low Agris drain. And then so you don't have to like live on the game to still make consistently really good gains.
Yeah, but who's going to know that you have to, as a new player, who's going to know that you have to use blue loot scroll with Agris for it to work? Like, you know how many new players are going to burn loot scrolls and in this like...
I definitely agree with you that like they're not they don't really make it very transparent about how trash loot numbers round down instead of rounding up, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. With such a simple solution to it, I can't help but be slightly disappointed the developers did it this way. And I don't know. It seems like it puts the value on yellow loot scrolls instead of blue. So, and I don't know. That just rubs me the wrong way. I do like the change to Valencia, but I think they need to fix that issue where blue loot scrolls don't drop any additional trash. And it's also not. You could also make it RNG where it's just a 50% chance of getting 2 trash loot. Right? And then that's just, again, that solves the entire issue. Like, there's so many different ways that could have solved that, where blue loot scrolls or yellow loot scrolls with Agris would work. So, right now, it's just debating people into wasting loot scrolls without realizing they're wasting it. And that's, that's real money. You're spending real money at that point. So, I feel like that's really harsh. But I do like to change the Valencian grind spots. Did it change any of the loot, like the Kaffir strap rates or anything else in Valencia?
They buffed the Kaffirs for drop rate a while back. So a while back there was a buff. I know Blonde Bear remembers it, or a patch where they buffed the Kaffirs drop rate for everywhere but Olans, right?
Yeah, that was
and that was weird. And then they went back and buffed Olans as well. So yeah, the Kaffirs rate is higher than it was.
Okay. So they didn't. It didn't change in the recent patch, but it changed in a patch a month or two ago.
Yeah, like a while back it changed, yeah.
Now I've heard Sulfur Mines is now, if you use yellow loot scroll, is like 200 mil an hour, but if you don't use yellow loot scroll, it's like 60 mil an hour. So I hear that's like a really, really good spot to go to if you're going to be using yellow loot scrolls.
Which spot again?
Sulfur Mine. Where it's like 225 mil an hour.
I like the change. I just don't necessarily like that. Like the people were grinding sulfur when it was 0 money an hour because they wanted the map, and now people are like, all right, now you get the map. I guess some fat stacks of cash.
I would be a lot richer. I went there and grinded 162 hours for my 2 map pieces there.
Yeah,
I've done over 300 hours just at Sulfur Mines for the Lava Tukar piece, and I never got it. I've been 3 out of 4 pieces for like 3 years now.
I forgot about that.
That's insane,
no,
bro.
It's something interesting with the evolution of the game. You're gonna have people that are like completely resistant to change and are like, "This is horrible. People should be able to make this money." Elvia makes money similar to that, but then it's like, I feel like players like just have to get to an evolving mindset where like this isn't about like you. This is about like the game changing and making it so that it isn't all about the gear. It's about something else. Like there's a bigger change going on with the game that could lead to a better game than you just getting upset that people are making money now. And I've definitely tried to evolved my mindset with like I'm not getting upset about the changes being like feeling unfair or feeling too fast. It's just that, you know, the game is going to just keep changing, and, you know, we're hoping obviously that this will be changes for the long term for the better, not only just for new players but for like content in general, for PA to be like, okay, now that money is not really a thing and anybody can grind anywhere and make money, let's make more game modes and things to
Yeah,
do
I agree.
with all that stuff. And
Yeah.
if you have the hopium enough to hope that and pray that Probus is
Hopium.
actually going to be working on that, then, you know, with enough hopium, then we can really believe that it'll work.
Like, I definitely think I really like the Valencia change personally. I think it was a really good thing for the game. Obviously, it feels a little weird because like Ackman and Histria kind of got left out. It's like, why grind Ackman and Histria now?
That was a pretty big mistake, I feel like.
I think it's still good. I think it's still a good change overall, personally.
I feel like Valencia and Ackman, or I mean History and Ackman, they don't need a trash load update. I think they should leave the trash load how it is. I feel like what they should do instead is they should update the amount of like scrolls that drop there and stuff. That way they're more competitive for income, not in silver per hour, but in like loot per hour. And so you'd still want to go to those places because of that. And I think that would make it a little bit, because I feel like they're like left behind compared to a lot of the modern grind spots.
Because like they're still decent. They're still not bad because they got the Caphras buff that the other places got. And scrolls are like hyper inflated in silver because memory fragments are so high. They're just, you know, it's just comparatively the amount of effort to input on them. It doesn't, like, the gap isn't very big between like sulfur mines or Kadri. Kadri is the one that's like sleeper good because like Blackstones will be sitting at max price and you get so many Blackstones at Kadri, and like with the Valencia buff and stuff, like Kadri is really freaking good.
Bro, I hear that Ackman, after that Caphras update, you get 30 Caphras an hour there. It's like close to 300 mil an hour. I hear it's like really close.
I guess it's decent, yeah.
I mean, the cameras in general are buffed across the board, which is fantastic because, like, as they now have introduced the free pen thing, now even more players are getting to that I need Caphras stage than they were before, even faster. So, like, we need more Caphras in the market, which is frustrating because they're now, again, shooting another hole in the other foot of, like, and we have a Caphras problem. All right, well, let's add more Caphras.
Yeah.
All right, everybody gets free pen gear, so now even more people need more Caphras.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Wait a second.
The problem is they don't need to be making the gear curve easier. They need to be creating more gear options for people to look into, right? And when people are done with the previous options, then those options will inherently become more easy, right? Because like if everybody's done with getting pins, then pins would drop in price, right? Or the materials needed for pins would drop in price, because everybody would be making them when, you know, the hardcore players wouldn't need them anymore.
Oh, real quick. So basically, for anybody that's come in, this is still Nerds and Words, but we're at like a intermediate, like transitionary period where Moro and Tim are playing New World full time, right? So they don't really have a whole lot to contribute to like a BDO centric podcast. So basically, we're kind of mixing up the podcast a little bit. We're probably gonna do it twice a week, in the sense that, so Potion and I will grab, you know, some people from the BDO community, be it like Choice, Fake Uniform, whoever, you know, Evil Do Us Harm, etc. Possibly even 2 guests a week to join us. Like this week we have Blonde Bear. And we'll do this centric, like, BDO focused portion of the podcast. And then, you know, we'll have another podcast either every other week where it's me, Potion, you know, Moral, and Tim, like the typical, where we just talk about New World and we just shoot the shit in general. But I think overall it's just a better, more constructive and less negative conversation about the game when it's, you know, people that play the game, in my opinion. So this is kind of why we're taking this direction.
Yep. Also note is we're working on a Nerds and Words YouTube channel. So this content will eventually be on there as a brand new channel, rather than being on Post and Shop's channel or my channel, right? And that way it doesn't feel like it's just Potion Shop uploading it to his YouTube and doing everything. It feels like it's its own entity. And I wanted to separate that from just being my thing, because it's not what the podcast is about.
Nice.
So yeah, that should be up in a couple days.
I just wanted to clarify that for the people that, you know, have kind of been coming in, and I think all these changes are gonna make it more streamlined, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. We're still learning from as we go, right? So we might find out in a couple weeks from now that we have another good idea that's better than this, right? So we're just playing it by ear and seeing what works, and this seems to be our best ideas right now. Now I would like to talk to you guys about the Wukong class leak. Do you guys believe it's real?
I do. I personally believe it's real.
It would be awesome if it was real.
And I will explain why I think it's real, and then Blonde can explain why he doesn't think it's real. So the reason that I think that there is some belief behind it, right? I don't exactly think it's going to be literally them putting Wukong in the game, of course, but they just released BDO Mobile in China like a month or two ago, right? And they have actively said that they want to take a more active role of getting BDO established into the Chinese like player base, right? Into the region. So it kind of makes sense like to come out with a class that's based on like Wukong, right? In terms of mythology. So I personally think that there is some belief behind it because almost every data mine we've ever had has been right in some way, right? Obviously it's been different. So like, we had Nova, Gauntlet, Sword, Scythe, right? It's like, what? That didn't make any sense. But now it makes sense, right?
With her
so I think there's
I
think there's always some kind of truth in all the data mines. It's just like whether we perceive it the right way or not.
I do think on the Black Desert Mobile it makes a lot of sense because they did, like you said, they did some type of closed beta test about 2 months ago in like October, and in November they did a network stress test for it, and apparently the release of it in like an actual official release of it will be sometime very, very soon. So Wukong class would match up with that thematically really well, and the teaser image that they gave back in Caltheon Ball 2020 also matches like the lore of Sun Wukong, right? Which is like he had a mountain put on his left hand and his right hand, and then he was cast in eternal Buddha fire for like a super long time, and it has fire in that image, and so it makes sense. That would match that theme really well.
It really does. Now that you say it like that, honestly.
So,
dude, that's pretty okay. Well.
I don't know. I think everything lines up pretty well, right? The end of the season is December 1st. For Caltheon Ball 2019, they announced Guardian. For Heidel Ball 2020, they announced Hashashin, and then he came out like a month or two later. And then for Caltheon Ball 2020, they announced Nova. And then for Heidel Ball 2021, they announced Corsair. So they've always announced the class around a Caltheon Ball or a Heidel Ball, and typically they give you a teaser for the class a few days before that happens. But the class releases have always been kind of sporadic. Maybe they're like a month a month afterwards sometimes. Like I think Hashin released like almost 2 months afterwards. So I think the release date is really up in the air. And the new season for Korea starts December 22nd. So a lot of things point to there being like it's the right time and the right setting for a new class. But will NA get it right away? Well, maybe our new season starts halfway through January. I don't know because they haven't announced our start season yet.
I think it makes sense. Whether it will come out in the fashion that we think, but I think it honestly makes sense.
Well, I think it makes sense. I think the timing's right. I think everything's right. The Caltheon Ball leading up, and that's why I think it's fake. I think a player, some crazy guy is like, okay, we got the Caltheon Ball coming up. What do they always do? Okay, we got a new season right after. We got a class announcement like Nova right after. Okay, what is the new regions we're looking at? We're looking at Demon Zone. Okay, that's already Hashashin. Ice Zone, that's already Guardian and Sonara Nova. Okay, what are we getting else? Hasso. Okay, what? Hasso. Okay, China. Okay, hold on. China, Chinese God, Asian God, Sun Wukong. All right, cool. What would everybody love? Some OP cloud riding ninja monkey class. All right,
hell yeah.
I'm gonna fake up some leaks and like type up some stuff, and we're gonna make it look like because I know what the data mine looks like, so I'll just copy and paste, put the name here. All right, faking a Sun Wukong class.
It really could easily be faked. I personally think.
I mean, look at the meme quality on the Reddit. How many of those memes have you seen where it's I don't know who the guy is, but whoever it is or the group of people that do it is a genius. It's a white fucking like Microsoft Paint thing, and he's got like just horribly cropped images of all the BDO people, and they have like it's all in like Arial thick black text, and he's just like typing stuff, and he crops all these images from BDO, and he comes with memes. It's got to be a guy like that
Alright,
that's just like memeing.
So the guy who did the post on Reddit, for people who don't know, there was a post on Reddit which had like a perceived like data mine with a sound effect called Wukong. That's where they got the name Wukong, and a whole bunch of like abilities like cloud jump and high jump and tumble jump and like whatever. Like they had a lot of names like this that kind of would go along with this kind of monkey theme class. And this is what people said about it. It's like, well, you know, he claimed this person posted on Reddit that it would be a Wukong class, and I think that it's probably based on the guy's history that he's telling the truth, because the day after that he posted a video about basically jumping outside the map and getting into the ice area, and then
I did see that. That was really crazy.
And
crazy.
I mean, and it seemed like it was like a legit video. Like you can look on the main map right now and see like the pits that he jumped in and like where he fell into the map. And then if you look at his past comments, he had several comments previously where he had been saying these guys said they're going to work on class rework, and then they're wasting their time and developing a new class instead. And he said that like I think like 2 weeks before he even posted that thing about the class leak, right? And he posted that on like some other topic. So I think it's really likely that the guy is at least trying to be genuine, you know, or at least point people in the right direction. I don't think he's maliciously trying to farm Reddit karma, because he's doing a really bad job of it. Aside from his one post. I don't know.
And they eat. It's funny because like after he put that video up, they did a hot patch, an emergency patch on the global labs, and like patched the way that you get out of the map into the winter zone. So I mean, they're definitely paying attention, dude, to that guy.
Yeah. So I think if you look at the past, the players that like Kura said, we've been wrong like every single time about the details of the class, but we've been right on like the general direction of what the game's doing. So like we look at Corsair, we thought she was gonna have a pistol because they cropped out her sword. So we thought her main hand was gonna be a pistol. At least I was convinced of it. I was like, we found the data leak in the background and found her image. We're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a pistol. Completely wrong. We looked at they had a Garmoth glove back in the day. That got data mined on BDO Codex. Well, that turned into Libra gloves and was released like 2 years later. And like we were right, there was going to be a glove, but it wasn't Garmoth glove. They changed it entirely by the time it came out. So I think the chance of being a Wukong class in particular, I think he might have some abilities that would remind you of Wukong, but I think he's going to be his own entity that Pluribus tries to make their own, so to speak, right? So I would be very surprised if it's like literally like Monkey King. He has a tail, and he has like a bow staff that does exactly what a bow staff normally does. I'd be very surprised if it's like to the T a Monkey King, so to speak. I'd be pretty surprised. It's interesting anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that because the data mines are always correct, but our perception of them is not always correct.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, maybe they'll release the Rock Mage. That was my prediction a while back on one of the podcasts. They're going to do a Rock Mage because they released the Rock Mage on Shadow Arena. And I thought, it was like, oh my gosh, they're going to make that. It's going to be the new class. That's what they announced at Caltheon Ball 2020. And I was completely wrong. I've never done that. We'll see. Would you guys be excited if they did a new class?
I don't get excited for new classes. I haven't been excited for a new class since Guardian.
I don't think they should introduce any new classes anymore to the game. Even though it's profitable for them, I think it's horrible for the game. It's led to most of the player issues and imbalances and frustration that a lot of players have. So it's a complicated thing.
I think it's short-sighted of the developers to create new classes right now.
I think it's just like really insensitive. It's great for their pockets and their money and their wallets and stuff, but it's horrible for the player base because like every new class is hyper imbalanced, has multiple things, and like every other class had something OP with them, and now it's like just
and long term, if you keep neglecting your game, that becomes a money wallet issue, right? I mean, you can't just continue releasing classes, or eventually people will start getting tired of it and stop spending money on them. You know, it's only a matter of time until that people get. It's like how many new classes can they release and release the same thing, and it still is like very profitable. You know, like I don't know what the answer is to that, but they're going to try to find out, I guess.
I definitely think it's at the point where I don't know. I know that releasing new classes is like really easy money, and like obviously it's it's probably like the easiest thing for them to do.
Yep.
But I do think they definitely should like release
Tone
some content into the game. But at the same time, there's also the argument, that some people make is that a lot of these new classes were probably already made back down the pipeline, right? Like they said with Sage that they
Sage
had
is
already
made back
designed
then.
Sage. Yeah, they designed Sage back in the day, which around that kind of coincides with like the data mines we had back then about a male sork, right? So it kind of like it kind of makes sense. That I imagine that some of these classes were already made previously, and they just kind of like have a couple on the shelf, and they just like drip feed them whenever they need content for whatever
3 to
reason.
6 months for a season.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I 100% agree with like putting a pause on new classes, because although new classes are fun for people, it's also miserable once people get good at them because they're almost always better than everything else. And the reworks are going to catch everybody up. It feels like ideally they're going to catch players up to like, oh hey, now all the old classes are kind of good, like the new classes, and then they'll just introduce the Wukong class, and then it'll be super OP, like better than the new reworks. So it's like, well, geez, now what do I do? You know.
Yeah.
I think it just comes out like what is their focus, right? Is your focus to entice new players into seasons by dumping new classes, or is your focus to focus on making the player base that you currently already have happy by releasing content and things to do?
The problem is that if every new class is an OP, then what's the point of introducing a new class that doesn't have a specific role other than being OP?
Well,
which is always the case, right? Like I understand, like when Sage came out and like some of it wasn't that strong or got nerfed initially, people were like, "Oh, well, if it's just gonna be weak, I'm not gonna play it. I'm only playing it because it's strong." And it's like,
I think I like to see the goal of new classes would be like attracting different players who don't currently enjoy the game, right?
Yes,
So like
yeah.
that's what they do in League a lot of times, right? They release Vex, and she's like this gloomy character. So if you're like a gloomy person in real life, like let's say you're an emo, depressed kid at high school, like you probably synergize with Vex really well. Like you probably
no.
like that's probably like I feel like a lot in common with this character, or like you watch Arcane.
Florida, so I play Renekton because I live in Florida with the alligators. It's not even a joke. I love Renekton. He's my favorite character.
That's awesome. But I feel like that's
hilarious.
I feel like that's why you release new characters, is you try to find new ways to tie your characters in game to what your people who are playing your game enjoy.
Yeah,
You know,
new classes aren't bad. I just think that the way that they do them, where they're just mass printing them and making mechanics that old classes have and just making them even stronger, is the problem, right?
Yeah, it like puts a really bad taste in people's mouths, especially like they already fell super far behind on the roadmap they gave us from the summer. But I think people will just be like if the reworks are a fail, and then if they drop a new class, people are just gonna be like, "What the fuck, bro?"
Yeah, I agree with like Kerr's. One of the points that you said was like, just release new content. Stop making new classes and make new content. Like just more modes or things or games or just like any kind of thing, like horde mode or like an infinite tower or like a system like in PoE or Diablo where you're like running through rifts and like collecting loot and then turning it in at the end for like a speed run, or it gets harder, like different things. There's so many different modes that other games are successful with, and this game could just take the fun play style of this game and just emulate another thing and from another game. Like what if Savage Rift was fun?
I would like to see new game modes, but not in like an instant space. I want to see them be part of the open world, right? Like make like a horde mode, but it's actually a grind spot. So you go there, and then you're there, and you get to go, and then the longer you stay there, the harder it gets and stuff, right?
Marie Cave's like that if you're under geared. When I went there on the season, I'm like on my archer, and I'm like.
I love Marie Cave, dude.
Like, I love that spot because it's just like you have 15 minutes probably approximately of like mega stress time, and then you got a 5-minute like, all right, relax your hands, you can chill for a minute, and then it'll respawn, and then you're back to like like pressing all your buttons real quick and trying to kill everything as fast as possible.
They reworked that, huh? I have to go try that out.
It's really it's one of my favorite grind spots. I wish more grind spots were like that, especially with the on-off loot scroll. So you can just turn it off, rest your hands, chill out, get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, and then when it spawns again, you just go wild again. Just
what happened? Like what was the what was like the thing that changed with it?
It just wasn't a spot. Like it was a node on the map, but they just basically made the tombstones alive, have a health bar, and it just horde mode spawns mobs. It was like a new spot they introduced, and then they were like whatever with it. Then it got buffed, and it was really really good for seasons.
Yeah, it's like my go-to spot for like skill points a lot 100%. Of the times, honestly, because like it's really nice. You basically potion, you hit these like gravestones, and then they will spawn waves of mobs that come in and try to destroy the gravestone. Yeah, so you like protect the gravestone, and they just keep coming. Yeah, they come infinitely.
It's like the Stars In towers, right?
Yeah, the similar concept. Yeah,
concept.
Okay,
yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, more stuff like that, more modes, more things. 100%, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Dude.
I really just want to see them take the mechanic idea and turn it up to 11. I want to see like region mechanics. I want to see like seasonal mechanics, like every spring season.
There's a wacky thing happening.
Yeah, like every spring season in BDO, there should be certain mechanics that every region gets. And then there should be certain like summer mechanics for every season. They have like summer bees that spawn or something. Like there should be mechanics that happen every season. Like winter, like snow will build up and like snowmen will pop out of like snowbanks and stuff like that. I don't know. Like there needs to be like a seasonal mechanic. There needs to be like region mechanics that rotate. So like maybe the region mechanic is at your grind spot for today, and tomorrow it's at another one. Like I want to see mechanics be taken to a whole new level, because right now it feels like mechanics are like, all right, our rules, we add one mechanic to every grind spot, and then that's what we do. And I'm like, it's like you took the right idea, but you didn't really think about it too much, right? Like there needs to be mechanics that rotate and change and are dynamic. The game world needs to feel like it's alive and changing, and then you get these interesting combinations where it's winter season, you have the region mechanic, you have the grind spot mechanic, and you have the elite boss spawning that week all at the same spot, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. But it's only that week because they happen to be everything lined up perfectly. Like it's the perfect blue moon situation for that grind spot. So everybody gets excited, and every week there'd be like a new exciting grind spot where the moon perfectly aligns. For maybe this week it's, Miramok Ruins has like double spawns or something.
So I got a question. So they recently did a change where they made it so that special deals is impacted by value pack.
Yes.
And I know you guys are probably the people that have done more like group grinding than anyone. And I personally don't think it's enough to bring it into relevance because of the way the game is moved nowadays. But what do you guys think about like the impact that has? Like what would they have to do to bring special deals back into relevance?
So I need to kind of understand the new mechanic a little bit better to answer the question properly.
So, Blombeck could explain. Go ahead.
Basically, it's like it was before. Remember, Potion Shop, they weren't subject to market taxes when you would sell things to the... Remember when we did Miramok a billion jillion hours?
Yeah.
And we would sell the stones, the black stones, and the Kafirs, and then you and I would freaking sit there and like click and bid on them, like to buy them out from each other. Basically, it's like that, and it doesn't... because remember when we got the new market system, group stuff was taxed, and it had a 30% flat tax, and you can't be affected by your value pack. Now it goes back to the old method where it's got like a 30% bonus to offset the tax market, and so it's back to like selling things at full price. The problem is that because now our market has a range filter, I don't know if anybody's tested to see what price it actually sells at and then splits it. That's the only thing we don't know.
So we just need to, because the problem with the new one was that it would sell the Kafirs at minimum price,
price and taxed.
Right. So
horrible.
So they fixed the value pack side of it, but we just don't know if they fixed the minimum price problem yet.
I think we asked around, but I don't think we got an answer.
Because I'm trying to think of the places in which it would be good. It would not be good at Hadoom grinding, I don't think, because the only thing that you're getting that's sellable is BMCs. So it really wouldn't have a lot of impact at like grinding Castle Ruins on Hadoom.
It just means you don't have to sell it yourself.
Yeah, maybe Olans, if it's selling each of the Kafirs for 3 mil each, especially with them times in Kafirs by 1.5. But then it's like, okay, well, if you wanted to use the Kafirs, then you can't do that.
Yeah. Or you can buy them from your own group at a discount. So it's almost even more beneficial.
True, you could do that. I think maybe that, but like obviously you can't, like special deals has no impact at any spot that isn't a party grind spot because you're just objectively making less loot.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't necessarily. It's not necessarily the case because if you're killing monsters in a group, if they're tanky monsters, you can kill them more efficiently in a party than you can solo. So you actually can like increase your loot because you're getting the debuffs from yourself and your allies.
Yes, but only one person will get loot though.
Well,
So it's like
if you're selling it, then it is a
sharing it.
split.
If you sell it to the market, yeah. If I'm rare grinding rare items and I'm in a party, and even though I'm the only one getting loot because I'm doing the damage, if I have someone in a party, they get part of the marketplace.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? It's like the game so far, like nowadays, has shifted so heavily towards untaxed items, right?
Untaxed items because
Like
you sell it to the
void
vendor.
seeds,
Yeah.
void seeds, trash, the 3 mil drops, all of those things. So it's like
Plenty's
the
all Rework
rare
trash loot,
drops.
too.
Yeah, right. Rare drops isn't really a massive part of things anymore, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of in a weird spot.
One of the cool things you can do with this now, though, is you can do like Gahaz, for example, and you can do 2-man Gahaz, and your buddy's doing a rotation that's close to you, and then you do another rotation. You're both getting your own trash loot still, but you're not killing the same mobs. And if you get rare drops, you're splitting that loot, and so that makes it where you actually can party grind at non-party locations now, and it's like that is like actually like somewhat viable.
I could maybe see it if like you have one person grinding main rotation at Stars Inn and another person grinding Cliff at Stars Inn, and you both guys are partying together. So you're getting your own trash, but then anytime a disto, when one of you gets a disto, you both split the disto gain. So that way it's like, okay, you're arguably probably going to have a disto every hour, if not hour and a half, with two people grinding different rotations. I could maybe see that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like that actually works out really well too because you guys can both bid on them. Another thing you can do too with the system is if your buddy's grinding, you can actually just sit in their party and make like AFK income. So that's actually like another thing you can probably do with this, unless they made it where you have to tag the monster, which I don't think they did. So you can
not to split the price. No, it'll automatically split in the mail with people.
Yeah, so you can make a little bit of AFK income if your buddy doesn't care about the money, but they care about the EXP. You can sit there and like leech a little bit of money. So there's like
this is a preemptive market change because the spots all in the ice area are going to be all group spots.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's really good, like setup for future things to come. Honestly, because currently with the Doom, it's kind of in a weird spot. But if they come out with, like, for example, they make the Yeti spot that they were talking about that was going to be a group spot. If it comes out and it's part of the thing that drops the item for Fallen God helmet, right? Which obviously has good market value. It's going to have good market value, like the current flame. I could see that, right? And then maybe there's like a new accessory.
Like there's not like trash loot. There's just like random collectibles like the embers you collect, so that's like your raw silver income, but majority of the income comes from the raw drop, like the rare drop, so it
exactly
is more
like it used to be, right?
Like right now, if I were to do like Turos, I would want to sell to the market, but like if they had more Turos type spots, because then
that would be awesome.
Moving away from a trash loot area into a like, oh, it's just going to drop multiple accessories an hour based on your luck, and that's going to be the determination of like how much money you make, and that's why it's party group.
What's really cool about that for like Toros in particular is now you can do party loot. You can just buy it off your buddy. You can just do party loot the entire time. If your buddy gets it, you just buy it for half price from them, and they get the gold.
Yeah.
And so that's like another cool system where you can basically double your chance of getting like a Flame of Despair when grinding if your buddy already has one or doesn't need one.
So yeah, dude, you're saying that you can't buy it off a party anymore because it automatically sells it to min or auto lists it. I mean, the problem with the system is that like because you can't just buy it before someone else buys it, it'll auto sell to the lowest order. That's going to be the problem that the new change system has. But as long as you provide feedback, they will maybe change it or be willing to change it.
And when it comes to an item like the Flame that's always pre-ordered at max, I'd imagine it automatically sells it to max, right?
I don't know.
I thought there was a grace period with it. I thought there was a grace period.
There used to be, but not in the new method because they changed it completely.
Oh, okay. So
because like we don't have the special deals tab anymore, so it's like it doesn't have a place where it can go to.
Yeah, if it didn't automatically sell at mid and did have a grace period, then you could like, and it auto sold to the market after a period of time, then that would be fine. But like the problem is that it doesn't do that because of the change.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good system then if they actually had the grace period. But if it doesn't have the grace period, then I feel like the entire purpose of that kind of goes away. Because the entire purpose of that is like to share RNG with your buddy so that if they're trying to get like cheaper earrings, then they can get cheaper earrings while grinding, right? They're only paying half price and their money goes to your friend, which is cool.
Yeah.
Good topic though.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I want to go and like test this out with somebody at some point and like figure out the details of it, just to confirm that it doesn't have a grace period and to confirm that it
Yeah.
doesn't sell at minimum or does sell at minimum.
Especially because, like, if we could just provide the feedback, like, hey, let there be a grace period so I can just get the item because that's what I'm here grinding for, but my friend doesn't want it, but also wants to get rid of it. Like, if we just provide the feedback to get the changes in, then that could lead to it being a usable system. But right now, like, just the taxes doesn't make it usable. It's the taxes. It's the whole old system in general is what made it really useful
Right.
for parties to run. So if we can get the changes, then that would be cool. But otherwise, it'll still be like, oh well, we could do that, but we're not gonna do that.
Right. Absolutely. I'm glad they took the effort to do this, but it feels like they didn't put the thought into it. It feels like they just gave the players what they asked for, which, you know, the entire problem is, and a lot of these changes are not being thought through. They're just being done as the players requested. And then they're not understanding why the players requested them in the first place. So, anyway.
Yeah.
The Oasis event is going away. Today is the last day of the Oasis event, or I guess tomorrow is. Is tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow's last day.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow's the last day of Oasis.
You have to claim.
What? Oh man. Woo.
Yep. If you have the weapons, they're going to be disabled, so you can't use them anymore. Just like your negative karma or something like that. So
my food is it going to turn off too?
Yep, your food will be useless. You can't use your food anymore starting tomorrow.
Oh god, hold on. Let me see. Kron.
Yeah, you're behind, dude.
No. Well, there's
people jumped on that like 3 weeks
PvP
ago.
Kron, so I guess I'll buy 1,000 of that.
I'm just gonna buy like yellow food. Just munch on some yellow food. What else is in the Oasis event?
Someone sell me Simple Kron. Someone sell me Simple Kron, please. Thank you.
The Oasis maps are going away, so you won't be able to double teleport anymore.
They better fix something with that because there is no way that people are going to go from using double map and tag character double map to no map.
They need to make it so that the archaeologist map is like better. They need to buff it.
The archaeologist map needs to be the Oasis map. The 2 to 3 hour cooldown. Because it's like right now it's on a regular map cooldown and it shares the cooldown, so it's like virtually useless.
I think you just shouldn't share a cooldown with the regular map. And
I completely agree.
And if you farm 2 of them, then you have 2 that don't share a cooldown.
Yeah,
so
I definitely think it should be separate.
Or can you imagine if you had 10 then? That'd be so much fun. You just teleport everywhere. But yeah, so it's going to be pretty huge changing that. I think the biggest thing for people is there's a ton of new players who have never seen Desert debuff in 2 years. So they're gonna go into Desert and be like, why am I dying? What is this? What is this heat stroke thing?
I'm gonna do that. Dude, I'm gonna go to Bloodstorm Nuver and be like, all right, I'm killing Nuver. What is dealing damage? What's going on?
I think a lot of people are going to go for the tier 1 infinite potion, like the basic infinite potion, right? Just so that they have enough to counteract the heat stroke.
Treasure items and family inventory win, bro.
They need
always gotta say it.
They need to make a treasure item that allows you to upgrade your treasure items to put them in your family inventory.
That's the new treasure item. Is the treasure item to make the treasure item a treasure item?
God.
Yep, you upgrade your treasure item to a family treasure item.
What is going to be the new treasure item in the Ice Zone?
That's what it should be. It should be that. They should do a perfume that gives you 50 energy over 20 minutes. And then they should do a treasure item where both grind spots, you get 2 pieces apiece from each grind spot. And it allows you to upgrade your treasure items to family treasure items.
The only crazy good idea I've heard is like a cauldron where you put all your elixirs in and click it once and it pops them all. But that's the only one where I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But it's like, dang, it's only really useful for like Olins and like Ash Forest and Crypt. Like,
well, they could do that and just get rid
really
of they get rid of the drafts then, right? Just get rid of the drafts.
I just like them to put it in our damn fucking. Let us put treasure items in the family inventory, dude.
Nice. Would be nice. Yeah. I don't know what they could make in the winter zone that's like thematically working. I don't know.
The cauldron is a pretty good idea.
It's just like after constantly having to use like elixirs for like either PvP, PvE, different modes. It's like your pot. Like if you have 10 elixirs, you don't get to pop the 10th elixir until after a minute and a half has gone by because it's a 10-second cooldown to pop an elixir.
Yeah, I think that is a little strange. Yeah, the cauldron is probably the best idea, I feel like. What's another thing
I
would
mean,
be nice?
The problem is like the compass and the map are like things that weren't in the game, right? The map was like a very unique, rare item, and then you also had the well, I guess they did have the traveler map, right? But still, it was extremely cool and rare and unique. And then they had the compass, which is like a whole unique concept, summoning people to you, because it's just like the only way you can do this if you're a GM of a guild. So it's like it might even be just a mechanic we never even thought about that we don't know we needed, right?
You can
Give me something
automate.
fucking broken, dude.
You
Make
can-
it so that
Like crazy.
You can
make it so that you can increase your mob pull count by like 3 or some shit by getting some special like item.
Ooh.
Now that would be
Let me get
interesting.
a rare Yeti pelt that I craft into a glider that when I use it, I just shoot it in the air and glide around for a little bit.
That would be pretty cool.
I would just get it just to freaking fly around in towns, dude. That'd be so sick. Just let me get Pegasus flight for like a few seconds.
You can get demon
Oh,
wings,
dude.
or you can get
Pets.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, pet whistle, dude. So the pets loot 50% faster if you have this
Ooh.
treasure item.
That would be cool.
Oh, that would be actually be interesting, where you can upgrade your pets to tier 5, but it's a treasure item.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that would be cool. I'd like that. Because then you gotta work for like the thing you want.
And
right?
most
Like,
people would never need it
Exactly.
either. Most people would never fucking need
most
that.
people won't need it.
That would make the game feel less pay to win too, which I would really like. Because the game right now feels really crazy pay to win.
Gonna get even worse with the Korean change with the costumes. Dude. It's almost worth buying costumes from the vendor at that point because you only get like 6 for a bill. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
ridiculous.
actually hope that long term they make it where costumes give one cronstone per million you spend on the costume. Because I think that would actually be a really good solution, because then, you know, the difference in pay to win and not pay to win is basically the same for a free to play player, and then the only benefit is you're basically making $1 billion or 2 billion silver from buying costumes. Then,
Well, it gets to a point where it doesn't even reward the player itself for just playing the game and buying it. It only rewards the person paying to win if you just
Right.
if the same price is from the vendor or not. Which I don't know if that's a good thing, right? Yeah, it looks nice for EU because the EU doesn't have to be salty about NA, but but there are people in NA going to sell costumes no matter what all the time, constantly, and
I like
I mean-
it that people who pay to win have to gamble their RNG though, instead of just
Sure.
paying to win and just buying the item straight up.
if they use the crons, they're less likely to use the crons and more likely to use the money and silver now because
Right.
the cron has less value for the costume itself. It's a complicated.
Because I would like to see costumes start sitting on the marketplace where you can buy them just because you want to wear that costume. You know, that'd be nice. And then Probus
Yeah. Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
really care because they're still making $40 per costume, so who cares?
Dude, honestly though, as much as it's nice that they're making the costumes less cost efficient, I think it's gonna be like they used to be. Where remember when the crons were 1 mil and then they changed them to 2 mil from the vendor? I think they're gonna
you
end up
think they'll
making them
edit
like
them?
4.
Oh,
Yeah, I think they're gonna
God.
probably double them on the vendor again
Please,
eventually.
No. Ugh.
I hope not, but like
They should
I mean,
definitely
they've
do
done it
that.
once.
You should erase the VOD because now that's going to be a
Well, the thing is, they cannot continue doing this for so long because they're going to continue destroying their veteran player base, right? Like we've already seen the veteran player base diminish in leaps and bounds, and so they can't continue making the game more and more pay to win because they're destroying their veteran player base worse and worse and worse. And they're doing okay right now because their new player base is, I think, thriving. I think their new player
Yeah,
base.
there's more people playing BDO nowadays than ever, which
Yeah.
is
Never
kind of
before.
crazy to
But
say.
those
which
are
is
like
awesome.
But they're new players, not veteran players, which means that means the Twitch audience is less dedicated, which means the YouTube audience is less dedicated.
Yeah,
people
the
quit
problem
faster.
with that is like it then motivates them to keep doing seasons and classes because in their eyes that's what's making the constant influx of new players, which it is, but that's not a good thing for the longevity of the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're making more profits only getting new players and losing old veteran players.
Well,
then
it's the Blizzard tactic, is what it is, right? You make tons and tons and tons of money at sacrificing the quality of your games, and they'll continue doing that until they get to a Bobby Kotick moment, and like the entire company's about to implode. And that's what Probus is doing, right? They're just going to continue going down that road until they have a Bobby Kotick
I gotta
moment.
play Crimson Desert. No, my Project 8.
I do want to play Project
Dope
8 really bad.
AV.
I actually,
Project 8 looks really cool.
yeah.
The concepts and everything they have for that game looks really cool. It just depends how it's implemented because like Tom Clancy's Division was like a cool concept, but it just didn't get executed really well. But having like a long-term MMO plan for a game that's stylized like that, I think would be really, really neat. But it depends.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
it could do very well. I mean, the way I see it is they're going to make it just like BDO, where you get guns, you have to enhance your guns, and then you have to use artisan memories to repair your guns. And
That's
it-
the
I
way,
just-
dude. That's the way.
I imagine this is going to be a shooter version of BDO, and I'm kind of okay with that, long as the pay to win's not too bad for the first 3-4 years. I can't spend. I've spent like probably $5,000 on BDO over the 6 years it's been out. I can't. I don't want to spend that on another game.
Yeah, I don't know if I could play another Prolobus game.
Yeah.
One per lifetime for me.
I'm hoping Crimson Desert ends up being a single player game where you just pay $60, you play through it, and you're done.
It's gonna be like a quad. Like you're gonna queue up with your friends and like do a story mode campaign or something like Left 4 Dead or For Honor.
I really think they're going to turn it into a Red Dead Redemption, where you play through single player, and then they have this online mode there. It's like secretly an MMO, and they're just not going to tell people.
I can see.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, like GTA was like that. It's similar. Like, those are very successful games too. So I mean, I mean, who knows? They could, because the problem is they've advertised it as an MMO. So when they show us content that's only a single player story campaign, it's like, okay, where's the MMO part? And it's like, well, we're saving that for later. You'll see. Like,
I still find it super funny though that they made Shadow Arena a standalone game, because like even some of the GMs are like, why the heck did they do that? Like it's like, why did they do that? That was one of the worst decisions they ever made.
Everybody and their
game.
brother thought that was a terrible choice, and there's like, nah.
Like this is so popular, bro.
You guys love it.
Let's make it a separate game and monetize it.
What blows me away is they did a tournament for a game that was not released and spent $30,000 getting streamers in to play on this tournament that was not released for a game that's not released.
Yeah, dude, they were paying streamers like $100 per kill that they got in the Shadow Arena tournament. It's kind of crazy.
Vert made like couple $1,000s off killing people.
Yeah, dude, Karandis made like $6,000 because he like he ended up winning the whole thing and got a bunch of kills throughout.
Yeah, dude's secretly a gamer. You wouldn't think it because he's like got that like nerdy persona going on, but he's actually really, really good.
I think that's another really good person to have like on the podcast, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, for sure. Is he still playing BDO?
Oh yeah.
Nowadays he doesn't stream BDO. He's been playing like Elion and stuff.
I wonder how
like
Elion's
Elion,
doing.
Vindictus.
We need to
people that like it, it's not too bad. If you like it, it's cool.
I need to actually give it a short run and just give it like a small little try to see how it is. What else we got going on here? Calcium Ball is December 11th. What are your expectations for it?
I'm excited. It's gonna be a hype fest. I'm gonna be really hyped, and then I'm gonna spend the next 6 months praying it all comes true, and it won't.
Yeah,
I'm excited for the bingo board. Did you see the Reddit bingo board people made?
Yep, I'm printing it out, dude. I'm gonna print it out.
Actual genius. Oh my god.
What was it? What happened?
It's just like it's like a man. I don't know. It's perfect. I don't know how to explain it other than it's literally a perfect bingo board for like this thing. The people that make the memes on the Reddit are actual geniuses. Like, I just really can't explain it. It literally has like everything from like, if you've watched the last like 3 or 4 Heidel Calpheon balls, then it's like it's the perfect bingo board for like you're definitely gonna get it filled and you're definitely gonna be sad about the hype fest we're about to watch.
I think that they'll give us like a new Clash trailer, of course, or teaser. And then they'll probably be like, "We're gonna release the Class reworks on the 15th, like the all the reboots." And then they'll probably give us like, I don't know, a Jay's hammer or something, because otherwise people would riot.
They're gonna talk about all the cool development they've done on the PvP modes and how it's almost ready, and then we'll see that in 6 months.
I really hope they don't give another roadmap, dude. I think roadmaps are a really fucking bad idea, and I don't know why they haven't realized by now that they shouldn't give people roadmaps.
Well, I want a
like
roadmap. I do want a roadmap, but I want a roadmap for things that they are already done with. I want them to have like 6 months of content already completed, and then to give us a roadmap for that 6 months of content. I do want roadmaps.
every time we get one of these balls, it's like, oh, here's like some cool ideas we're thinking about. What do you guys think? And that's the hideout balls,
Yeah.
and Calvion balls. It's like, wow, we got all these cool ideas. What do you guys think? You like that? Okay, we'll get that in like a year or two, maybe. We're working on it.
Yeah, I don't want a roadmap for things that they brainstormed at coffee that morning, right? I'm just like, I'm so tired of those roadmaps where they're like, yeah, we got this tier 10 horse we've been working on. We literally announced a year and a half ago, and we're going to talk about the winter region again since we talked about it in 2019, or whenever it was they first talked about. Maybe it was 2020, but still.
Yeah.
I just don't want a roadmap, bro. Obviously, if we felt they could stick to it, roadmaps would be hype. But fuck, dude, I don't want a roadmap.
It gets me excited, and then when it doesn't happen, it gets me so sad. I get more sad about it than I get.
They need to under promise and over deliver, but right now they over promise and under deliver.
Yeah, they swap it around.
Yep, and they talked about like the Caltheon Hadum, and like. They even put an in-game like little cinematic on the load screen for it, and they literally haven't said anything about it. Like they haven't said anything about it. Like no like images, no release date, no nothing. So like they literally just told us about that like a year before it's going to come out. Apparently,
the winter region is something I'm scared they're going to delay.
I don't think they're going to delay it because they announced it. And they said way back when that their goal was to release it in winter 2020. Which is Q4, which really means, December to March. And so I think they've been planning this to be winter region coming out in March 2021 or 2022. I mean, for like a super, super, super long time, right? I think.
That is when New World is Lost Ark is dropping.
Yep. And I mean, they've said for a long time about this Fallen God piece, and people have been asking about that. And they said they want to do that with the when you complete the storyline for the Snow region, you get the opportunity to earn the Fallen God helmet. So, and I feel like I think that that's all basically done, and I think they're just waiting. What surprises me about the Snow region is not necessarily the release date for it, because I think they've had that plan for a long time. But actually, the fact that it only has 2 grind spots to our knowledge right now, it only has 2, and that's what surprises me about it. It's like we got Kama Sylvia and it had 7, and it had 2 parts, right? It had part 1 and part 2, and then we got was it Dregan, and it had 3, and we got 3 other rework grind spots. Like we got Hashriff Cliff, and we got some other reworks. Abandoned Monastery Pirates. So it was like 6. And then we have Odolita, and we had 4 grind spots, and then they reworked. Then they had Ash Forest, so it was like basically 5. So they've been decreasing the number of active grind spots they've been developing. Every year they decrease the number of grind spots they make by 1. And so, like, for me, it's like, why are they only doing 2 this time? That's kind of like a red flag for me, that they're only doing 2 grind spots. And is that because of Hadum? Like, why is there only 2 this time? It seems like a very small update.
Well, I think it really just depends, man. Because nowadays I'm not too hung up on them introducing more grind spots, since people are only going to do the one that gives the most silver per hour in the first place. Unless it's like, I'm more about them adding meaningful grind spots. Like they added Turos, right? Which has a really good accessory, right? Being the belt, and it also has the flame, which lets you make the Fallen God chest piece. So I'm personally more interested in meaningful things, being like meaningful spots, more so than like them like creeping, like power creeping, I guess.
Yeah, I do hope that the new grind spots genuinely are unique. I don't want them to be like Sawson's 5.0 or something like that. I do want to be, unique in some way. Like maybe the weather. Maybe sometimes it snows and sometimes there's no snow, right? Depending on the season. And so the grind spot changes based on the seasons, like we're saying before, right? I was saying before. Like, I hope they're fundamentally different in some way. Like, sometimes maybe it's like a blizzard's going on, and then there's like the abominable snowman's there. Like, I don't know. Like I want to see something where like the weather changes and now I can't see anything. Like, I can only see the pack right in front of me. I'm like, where'd Blombear? Where'd you go, bro? Like, we're trying to kill this dude. Like, I'm over here at the next pack. Like, let's find each other. And like, I can't see you. Light the flare. Right? Like, you have to light a flare to see each other. Your mini map doesn't work or anything. Like, I don't know. There'd be some cool mechanics they could do with that kind of stuff.
A lot of really neat stuff they can pull off if they try.
Yep.
They try.
So I'm with you on that. Like, I don't want to see more grind spots that are the same. I want to see meaningfully unique grind spots in some way or another.
I am ready for Fallen God helmet, though. I need that in my life.
Yeah, man, I hate getting one shot. I need this. I need all Fallen God, please.
Man, I really hope they do a whole balance pass on PvP. Like the time to kill is ridiculous. Healing is too powerful. Like you can V and then you can still escape in open world, which is super annoying. There's no respawn timer when you kill somebody. When you kill somebody, they can tier. Like you shouldn't be able to tier if you kill somebody. At least not in the same spot.
Not in the open world, maybe in a dungeon.
Yeah, like dungeons, I think if mobs kill you, that's fine. Like, who cares? You can tier all the time. If someone feeds you to mobs, just tier right away, right? But if someone's spending their karma to kill you, or you killed someone who's flagged up, or got a war, like, they should have a respawn timer, and they should have to go to that node, or maybe go to the city if they've died too often. Like, there's so many problems like that kind of stuff with balance. Like, I don't think the problem is they need more armor in the game right now, because you could build cadres, but you don't build cadres because if you build cadres, people are literally unkillable because they're too tanky because there's too much healing. So it's like a catch-22, right? You can't put on the DP gear that you want to put on because you can't kill people. And on the other hand, if you have enough gear to kill people, then you just get one comboed, which is not fun either.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would like to see him go through and rebalance the game in a big way.
I mean, I personally would like a rework of like the DP formulas, maybe even like shifting AP brackets up and maybe shifting DP brackets down.
What?
So for example, let's say 269 AP, right, is like it's like a bracket, right? It's a big bracket. Well, maybe shift the brackets upwards so that instead of 269 being that bracket in terms of PvP damage, shift it up to maybe 280, right? And then for DP, shift the brackets down. So it's like, all right, you get more DP brackets when you have lower DP as well, right?
It's like 350 is like almost a cap or something, and then you have all the bonuses to DP and a lot more tanky.
Just something where it's like, make it so that it's not just this whole one-shotty fest.
Even at full C20 max gear, someone with like max AP shouldn't be able to one-shot me. I feel like that should still be a comboable.
There's a few different issues there, right? Like one issue is that AP brackets are not really intuitive to new players. So I personally feel like AP brackets should just be deleted from the game, and it should add, a portion of that AP, not all of it, but a portion of that AP back to accessories when you upgrade them. So then, like, the AP is still most of the AP, maybe like 80 or 60% of it's still there, but you just have to have upgraded accessories. And so that way, you get to see it on your sheet. It works properly. It's not hidden anymore. Because right now, the hidden gear score just makes it like really hard to understand what in the world's even going on unless you look at your stat sheet, which is just like the stat sheet is a solution to an issue, or it's like a band-aid for a problem in the game, which is like you can't understand what's going on.
I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but for me personally, I don't think. I personally don't even think gear really matters for in-game. I think the class you play matters more than the gear you have.
Yeah, the class is way more important for sure.
I agree with that. Definitely, the class feels way more important. I do think your gear choices should matter more, but right now, like the choices would be what DP build or offense build, and right now you can't. There's no player choice because, like we said before, if you change out any of your AP accessories, you just can't kill people, right? And so I would like to see healing decrease, so that way if you do choose to remove some of your AP accessories for DP accessories, then you can still kill people, maybe, but this takes longer. And you can only do that because those items are there. Like, we have evasion accessories, we have cadres, we have, Sissels and stuff like that, but people can't use those until they're like 300 plus AP or 700 plus gear score.
The appropriate class that works with it.
Yeah, and that's just kind of silly.
And like, I don't have really crazy good DR scaling on Zerker because DR's are really good, but like evasion isn't really good. But I don't have anything that makes that DR any more valuable than just putting evasion on. So I go evasion because it makes me kill monsters better because I don't get hit ever. And
anyway, I
suffer in PvP.
I generally don't really care what they choose to do solution because there's a million different ways they can have solutions to it.
Different ways,
I just really care about them fixing the core problem, which is too much healing and getting one comboed. Right, those are like two really big fundamental issues, and they're just refusing to fix those right now. And maybe that's what they'll do when they do the Medea arena, right? They're planning on doing that Medea like ranked PvP arena.
Good luck with that, dude.
So I mean, maybe they'll do that. Then they'll do the class rework now, and then the class rework now is obviously a PVE update, not a PvP update, because the damage scaling for PvP, from my understanding, isn't changing a whole lot. So it seems to be more of a PVE update. Obviously, it'll have PvP implications, but nothing huge. So curious to see what they do when they do the PvP update, because they said they're going to do a Team vs. Team arena, like the Siege War stuff, like region versus region. They're going to do the Medea like Gear Cap PvP, and then the Medea Ungear Cap PvP, and then have the leaderboard for both of those. So
so hold on, wait a second. So for people like that are kind of confused about like the brackets and what I meant by the squishing, I more so mean that like in the current state of the game, DP compared to AP is just kind of a mute point just because of the difference in the scaling of the classes. You literally have classes like Sage and Nova who can use offense and fucking Libra builds and have higher hit rate and more damage output than other classes that are like running, fucking Beg's gloves and C20's Arcus. So I more so mean just like DP is just kind of non-existent nowadays in the sense that
between 250 AP and 300 AP is massive. The difference between 300 EP and 400 EP, or 350 DP, 400 EP is virtually unnoticeable.
Like
exactly.
Here's another way of saying it, right? You have like a Ferrari, and the Ferrari can go really, really fast and accelerate really, really fast. And then you have like your sedan, and your sedan might get to 100, and then the engine would blow up. All right. And basically right now, like some classes like Guardian and Sage Succession, they're like the Ferraris, right? They can get to 100 and their engines don't blow up, and so you can run DP on them and still get to 100. Where other classes, if you ran DP on them, your engine would blow up way sooner, right? All right, that's my analogy.
All I'm saying is that DP should matter.
It should matter a lot more.
All I'm saying is that DP should 100% matter.
Yep.
That's basically the point.
I'd like to see them do it. We'll see what they end up doing in the long run. I think right now it's pretty obvious they're focused on class rework, which does not seem to be a PvP rework. And they're focused on doing the new class, the Snow Region, Hadoom, costumes, and events. And that seems to be like their main focus. And whenever they get done with this class rework, I feel like that might give them an opportunity to, change gears a little bit to focus on something else.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. Like, obviously the class reworks haven't been all bad, to be honest. Like, for example, whatever you call it, some of the classes have had really good reworks so far. Like Moose's rework is shaping out to be really good, right? Obviously, Striker, Warriors. Those are really excited. Freaking good.
I'm really excited.
Rangers
about Tamer.
Shaping out to be good.
I'm really excited about Tamer Succession. Like personally, I think because they're fixing pet scaling, where it actually scales off your AP accuracy, is my understanding now, and your actual player gear. So I think that's actually really, really nice.
I was excited about the Tamer rework until they nerfed her massively the week before last and last week. So now I'm just kind of like whatever, but. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do before it's all said and done.
Well, wasn't she like way overtuned, because when she started scaling with her regular gear, she's like super busted?
No, they did that before they even like removed that stuff. But so basically, how do I explain it? So they did changes that weren't really impactful for that. So for example, they nerfed her. They nerfed her iframes. They nerfed her non-grab CCs. So like they removed 2 non-grab CCs, being spray scratch and whatever you call it, surging tide knockback.
I didn't think they were removing very many CCs. Are they removing a lot of CCs for a lot of classes?
Nope.
No, it just happened to be Tamer.
Which is why it's freaking weird. I don't know.
It seems like that would be a good change if you're doing that globally, right? If you just remove 2 CCs and maybe like 1 super armor from all the classes, that seems like that'd be a pretty okay change. But
well, the thing that makes it weird is it was this. So they did that the same week that they nerfed grabs. It's true, grabs definitely 100% needed to be nerfed, because it's like, okay, well, like all right, we want to move away from a grab focused game. I think that is a very good idea where you like heavily raise the cooldown of grabs, right? And make grabs not like an insta win button that you can
Right.
kind of just like play around at all times. I think that is really good. But I think it's also kind of counterintuitive is if you nerf grabs, but also remove a couple non-grab CCs, and all you're gonna do is just make people. You're just gonna make people wait an extra 10 seconds before they go for the grab again. I mean,
Well, I think
it's kind of counterintuitive.
if they nerf grab's cooldown period and they don't nerf super armors and CC limits, right? Then what ends up happening is it's still a grab meta, but now you have to wait an extra couple seconds for your grab, right? I mean, that's all because the true problem here is not grabs. The real problem is actually that super armors are too prevalent, which makes grabs the only go-to option.
I mean, but think about it, right? If you want people to be less dependent on grabs and use other abilities that aren't like other CC catches that aren't grabs, then you can't remove non-grab CCs.
Well, you have a ton of different options. If not mistaken, on Tamer, right? You probably have 7 other skills at CC, at least.
You have. You're gonna have like 3 options. You're gonna have your grab, you're gonna have your trample, you're gonna have void lightning. You have a skill called stretch kick that nobody uses. So you got like 3 or 4 CCs after they remove those 2.
I still feel like that would be enough CCs, assuming there weren't too many super armors, right? That's why I feel like that's a weird change. Like I'm on board with that being a weird change because that 4 CCs is more than enough CCs if there weren't a crap load of super armors. But when you have classes like Mystic that have like 23 super armors, it's kind of like, all right, well, I kind of need a few more CCs, or you need to remove a lot of super armors from some of these classes, or like classes that have a permanent super armor rotation. Like I believe there's still like 3-4 classes that have a permanent super armor rotation, right? They have no weakness.
There's a bunch of classes that have full SA rotations. Yeah.
Do you think most people in the game would just prefer grabs to be completely removed and then adjust CC and protections based off of that? I think more people get more frustrated about grabs than anything else in this game, and if maybe we just had normal CCs and damage and protections and I feel like people are afraid there's no flavor. I don't know.
I think a good solution to that problem is to make it where grabs don't go through super armors, and then that forces developers basically to balance the game properly. I feel like that would be a good middle ground there.
Like, I definitely think grabs should be a 30-second cooldown minimum, all grabs. And then, like, if you have, like, a lawn grab, which is a fucking long-range football field missile, should definitely be, like, 35. But I definitely think all grabs should be at least a 30-second cooldown. They just gotta... I don't know. Well, I don't know how they balance it.
Grabs being a long cooldown just makes it where those classes aren't fun to play. And the goal is not to remove the fun of the class. The goal is to make it where it's not frustrating to play against. And the frustration right now
is grab. Then I'm not gonna have fun when I can only play once a minute.
I mean, I think though that like the idea isn't more. I think the idea is to add more skill expression and like having to use more of your kit than press E and win. That's my understanding.
I want more than just that. I would love more than just that. That's why I want grabs removed.
So
they'll have to figure that out.
I think the main thing is like figuring out where's the fun come from right now, right? Well, it's just using your abilities to kill people, right? That's where the fun comes from, right? The CC, the combo, like that's where the fun comes from. And then the anti-fun comes from getting one comboed, right? If you didn't get one comboed, then no one would really care that much about grabs. They wouldn't care near as much if they didn't get one comboed. But since people get one comboed or 2 comboed from a grab, it's just really frustrating. So, like, I feel like figuring out a way to maintain the current combos that are in a game that are already proven to be fun, while figuring out a way to remove the one combo aspect, this makes the game way more fun. Like,
I mean, I agree with something that Junior just said. Junior said that if a grab makes the class fun, then they failed on that class. And I actually hard agree with that. If the grab is what makes the class, I feel like
Well,
they kind of did fail on the class
Yeah.
fundamentally.
there's different classes for different people, right? Some people, they just want to play a simple grab class. That's all they want to do. They don't want a complicated class. And so
Complicated, yeah.
if you remove grabs, then everybody who likes just playing a simple grab class just quits the game, or they're just unhappy playing the game anymore. So it's not really a solution just to remove grabs. You know, like that's not really an option.
Well, we have classes that are like well designed that don't need just the grab, right? Like Hashashin or Nova. They're really good, and they also have a grab, but they don't rely on the grab to be able to do anything, and they're also still fun. So it's like if classes had more balance around like, okay, well, there's things other than your grab you can do, but your grab is also a thing you can do. I think maybe then that's the direction. But the problem is then you have an overloaded class like Nova. Like that's just incredibly strong and not really fun to play against. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think ultimately keeping the game simple and straightforward is like way better. Because when the game first came out, we didn't have a problem with too many grabs. Like the grabs were basically the same as they are today. You know, we have a few more grab classes today than we used to, but grabs today are the same as they were on release. But grabs are a problem today, but they weren't a problem back then. And it's not like grabs changed. Grabs didn't really change that much. Like a few grabs got super armors, which they're removing, which I think is good. But other than that, grabs cooldowns are roughly the same, and there wasn't a problem. So why wasn't it a problem then, and it is a problem now? Well, again,
I think it comes. Or no, go ahead. My bad.
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it comes down to being one comboed. When the game first came out, it was like a 3 combo system, and you get 3 comboed. If someone outgeared you by a lot, you'd have to like 5 combo them, and if you outgeared someone else, you would like 2 combo them. And there was almost never a case where you 1 comboed somebody. Like,
Exactly. So I think it comes back to the same argument that DP just needs to be completely rescaled because it doesn't like AP just scales so much harder than DP.
Well,
Yeah,
I agree that DP needs to be rescaled, but if you do that without nerfing healing, then you just have unkillable players. Like,
oh yeah, for sure, definitely, because like it is really weird, like because like that's another big thing, right? Remember when potions back in the day had 4-second cooldown, right?
Mhm.
Now you have 1
Holy
second cooldowns,
shit, yeah.
so you also got to remember that, like you couldn't spam a potion every
Yeah.
single second.
You guys remember
could
when you
use-
dueled and didn't use potions? Like people were like, no potion duels. Remember?
Dude, that used to be the pay to win, dude. If
That
you
was
had
the
weight
meta.
and you could hold more potions, you were a pay to winner.
That was the meta. No potion duels. Okay,
Well,
got it. Okay.
I think
Yeah,
I actually think it's like I think the only difference between Shadow Arena and the regular game, for the most part, was actually this fact that they had way slower time to kill. You know, it was a 2 combo to like 5 combo system in Shadow Arena, and in your potions only healed you for like 80% of the amount over a 1 minute period, right? So you had like a 1 minute heal instead of like a 1 second heal, and like those are the only 2 major changes. Like that was it, and that
Do you
alone made it
guys-
fun.
Do you guys agree that Awakening was the beginning of the end? I personally believe that the Awakening, like once they started adding Awakening and classes got hyper mobile, and like that was the beginning of the end.
I don't.
If they just added more abilities and less mobility, I think it would have been fine. But yeah, the hyper mobility added a lot of issues.
This is what I talked about this on my stream occasionally, and this is how I think about it. They added Awakenings, and it did 2 things. They added a lot more attack power, but I don't think that was inherently the worst thing. But it also added a lot more CCs, and that meant that people were getting CC'd way too often in Siege and Node Wars. And their solution to that was they added super armors to Witch and Wizard and all the other classes and forward guards. So that was their solution. Instead of fixing we added too many CCs by adding Awakenings and reducing the total number of CCs, they added super armors, which then made grabs feel too powerful, which then made it where they need to do more healing and more damage in order to like balance out the game. And so I think it's just been a cascading series of problems that have all stemmed from not balancing the game properly when Awakenings came out.
The Awakenings or the Awakening weapons are the Awakening weapons and kits are really nice and much more flashy, and and you have more. They just feel really good. It's just more so that like I don't know obviously we always had desync, but desync definitely increased a whole lot once Awakenings came, and like people are just moving at such higher clicks than they were before.
I definitely, if you want to talk about like desync, definitely faster mobility makes desync worse. That's just a fact, right? If you move twice as fast, the desync will feel twice as bad. It's not quite a linear comparison like that, but that's roughly how you'll feel. So sure, with Awakenings making it faster, and in Successions making it even faster, and now with this class rework, they're going to make it where all the abilities, animation cancel like 20% faster than they used to. Like again, that makes everything faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. So I don't think it's like a I don't think I definitely do think the Wakings were made the lag worse, but I don't think it's what ruined the balance per se. I think it was their inability to balance the Awakening CCs properly that was like the slow road to what we have today. So I mean I guess it makes sense for lag. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Awakenings definitely what made the lag a lot worse. And we can see the same thing in New World, right? New World adds a new weapon, and then their servers are getting congested with too much data being transferred to client side, and then everything just stops moving and stops working properly. And we see the same thing happen in BDO Siege. Like when Awakenings came out, like Siege, the performance of Siege went way down when Awakenings came out because there was just so much more data to transfer. And
I think it's an interesting topic if they like an interesting thought that like if they will ever try to, like maybe they just like it the way it is. Maybe they just think the beauty, like the goal of the PvP is the art of the catch instead of like having to catch like someone multiple times or combo them multiple times. Maybe they just think that BDO PvP is the art of getting the catch, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it being like faster combat, and you have to catch people more often, right? Because what makes PvP, in my opinion, really fun, or just sports in general, is the opportunity to have a comeback. Like if you don't feel like there's a chance you can come back from a early loss, then you feel like you're just disappointed and you want to give up. And if you look in sports games, when your sports team scores a point and they're behind by 2 points or 7 points or whatever the case may be, you don't give up because there's a chance that you could score another point on your team could and catch back up. The opportunity that catch up is what makes you keep watching. Is what makes the team keep pushing. And in BDO, there needs to be the opportunity for a chance to redeem yourself for that mistake you made and got caught or whatever. And with the one combo, there's no opportunity for that. You just, it's either you win or you'll lose, and there's no middle ground. So I don't know. I think part of it is also pay to win. I feel like when people pay to win, they feel like they're gaining such a huge advantage where they can one combo or they're unkillable, right? And so,
dude, I don't even know. I don't even think the pay to win stuff kind of matters, but silver is so easy to get nowadays. If I don't know, dude, you gotta really be dumping out the money, and especially because I think at the end game, it's not even about how much gear you have, dude. It's about the class you're playing.
Well, I'm saying that's what brought us to this point. Not necessarily that's what they're currently deciding on, but that's what brought us to this point. I think they made a lot of choices back in the day where they said what would make the whales happier and spend more money. And I think they kept making that choice until the whales stopped spending money, and now they changed focus on new players and seasons and stuff like that. So I think that's what got us to this point, though, with bad balance, was that basically just kept making choices that made whales happier and happier and happier. But today, I don't think it matters. What do you think? Like what was the thing that brought us to this point, balance wise, for you guys?
I think it's just the concept of releasing more and more classes, right? Because it's kind of like Blonde Bear said earlier, where it's like if you release a new class and the new class isn't good, then people aren't gonna play it. And so by setting that precedent, then they kind of got to keep one-upping themselves every time they come out with a new class, right?
As soon as we were talking about, well, let's maybe nerf Sage a little bit. Everybody's like, well, if it's nerfed, I'm not playing it. It's usually why don't I just play a mage? I was like, well, okay. But everybody's also hyped about class reworks. It's like there's no winning with the community. I feel like
I would not be
always going to assist somebody, but
I would not be opposed to them doing 3 class reworks a year and then 1 new class. And that's way better than 4 new classes a year, like they've done so far.
The problem also is PA has a vision of the game, and then the community also has a vision of the game based on playing lots of video games. And PA wants to make the players happy, but also want to make their game the way they want to make their game. And that's just not lining up, I feel like, on a lot of angles. So they're finally trying to reconcile the community, and they're like, well, we want you guys to keep playing our game, so how do we fix it? And they've been listening to the feedback, but there's so many people that think, oh, my class needs to be played like this or that, and it's just like, man, there's a lot of people that just want to be OP, and there's a lot of people that are liars, and then there's some people that genuinely care about the balance of the game, and trying to balance all that is got to be so annoying for PA to deal with. I can't imagine.
I feel like the main problem with that though is that inherently, if the developers are trying to make a particular game, they need to be very clear with their vision of the game. And right now they're not. Like, so since the developers don't know what the hell they're doing with like what game they're making, like how the player's supposed to know what type of game they're trying to make. So like it's like Path of Exile, like they're trying to make a super hardcore game in Path of Exile, and they're very clear about that they're not trying to compromise on that. And so if you're a type of player who wants a casual game, like they just don't listen to your feedback, and they're very clear about that. And so those people just don't offer their feedback because they never get listened to. Where in Pearl Abyss, like, there's no clear vision. Are they trying to make a PvP game? Are they trying to make a PvE game? Are they trying to cater to casual players, hardcore players? Like, are they trying to make it a grind game? Or are they trying to make it a, are they trying to make it a life skilling game? Like, there's just no clear vision. Goal? It's like they're trying to be a master of all trades, but then in the process, they're not good at anything. Because you can't master everything.
Yeah.
So it's like they want to have their cake and eat it too, and they really can't. And I feel like that's what's screwing them in the back because, like you said, the players, right now there's a lot of players who like one comboing, and there's a whole bunch of other players who don't like one comboing. There's a whole bunch of other players who like the pay to win in the game, and because it allows them to get a huge advantage with their their real life money. So I don't know. I feel like they just need to be very clear about what kind of game they're trying to make, so that players can understand if their feedback is even going to be listened to.
Exactly. I think it's been one of the harder parts about the community, just probably not being happy with the style of the game that PA wants to make.
I also think in another way, it's like it might even be better if they just don't listen to feedback and make the game that they want to make, to be honest. Because it feels like right now they're kind of lost in between, right? Where it's like, okay, well, obviously they want to cater super heavily to their native, their Korean player base, but their native Korean player base has a very big different view of the game than we have in other regions. So I don't know, and it's kind of like they try to cater to a little bit of both, right?
I think
they don't really
for the longest time, like the main feedback ever always was you're not listening to the community. Like when we were with Kakao, everybody always complained that they're not listening to the community. So it's like, okay, well now they listen to the community. And,
I have to say, like, I feel like if you left. Like, if you look at Warframe, for example, and, like, they make the game that they always want to make, that the developer team wants to make, not the players. And their games is all over the place. Like, sometimes they have, like, Plains of Eidolon, which is incredible. I mean, it had some problems, but it was an incredible patch. And then they have some spaceship update where you just drive around a spaceship and no one cares for it. And it's like, it's just completely hit or miss, where sometimes it's like, it has a lot of synergy, and other times it's complete garbage. And it's just all over the place because of that. And I feel like the developers need to know like what kind of game they want to make, and I don't think they have any idea. So if we left it to the developers, I don't think there would be a game dev in play. I think they would just make bad content for years, and then no one would want to play anything.
What do you guys feel about them making separate design choices for Korea and for the outside world? Because like Korea seems to be okay with BDO being like a fully just in-game progression simulator, but not related. It's like they're okay with there not being anything to do with your gear once you get it, or being able to progress while PvPing. But it seems like the whole outside world of the game is super invested in like PvP and the idea of like having things to do with your gear once you have like acquired it. So like, what do you guys think that like of like maybe
I think the
like
feedback,
Korea having their own way of doing the game, and everybody else like has our own kind of way of them updating the game?
I think that they should keep one patch, because if you split your resources, it just becomes impossible to keep your game updated.
Impossible to keep it up.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
I mean, they already literally do one PvP update every like 3 years and one life skill update every 3 years. So like they're already like way behind schedule for the things they're already trying to do.
Although I would agree with it, I think that would be cool, but I don't think they could do it feasibly. I don't think they can keep up with it.
I think what they should do though is for as far as listening to feedback for what the players want content wise, I think they should be listening to a percentage of players based on how much of income that brings in for them. For an example, like NAEU brings the majority of income. You should listen to about 50% of NAEU since it's 50% of your income. Korea brings in 20% or whatever. Like, give 20% of your dev time should be focusing on things that they care about. And if the regions overlap, then work on the thing that they overlap on. Like, that's a win-win.
I definitely do think that. They put I definitely do think that they put way too much influence on the Korean player base opinion. Right? It's kind of like because I didn't even know this until I went to PA headquarters that. Apparently, the reason Striker keeps getting buffed is because in Korea they think Striker is a very weak class, and they're constantly giving feedback that the Striker class is not very good. But you see over here in every other region of the world, Striker's fucking dominant, and everybody knows that Striker's dominant. So it's like we are constantly punished indirectly by them being either behind with the meta or having like a different read on the game. And yeah, it's kind of weird.
Well, the reason that happens too is because BDO over there is not being played by the top gamers. It's being played by like casual gamers who just have been playing for fun. It's like a dead game over there. And so like the feedback they're getting is from casual gamers like who don't know how to play the game and who aren't playtesting stuff. And
so people in NA are really hardcore.
Yeah, like we have like spreadsheets. We have like I made a full tier list for the thing. Like I mean. We look up and research this stuff really, really intensely because, like, for a good example of this is before NA got a lot more serious about keeping track of this stuff, we didn't know that LAN Awakening released, and we didn't know for the first 3 months that LAN was the second best grinding class in the game. For 3 months. It was out for 3 months, and everybody thought it was garbage for 3 months when it first came out. And then LAN, someone did a test and posted a video, and people were like, this is a really good class. And at that point, then people, ever since the new class came out, people are like, hey, let's test out the new class and see how good it is compared to this LAN. And then, that cycle started getting shorter and shorter where now a class is out literally the first week and there's YouTube videos online, like literally in the very first week, where before people didn't have YouTube videos at all trying to test trash. And it's kind of like a meta that's developed.
I will agree that some of the Korean player base seems to be less hardcore than but the game is super popular in Korea. Like it's still popular. It's like it's still top 10 in most played MMOs, but I definitely think they have their own way of playing the game.
Yeah, I don't think their structure is very developed over there, like at all. I don't think their like structure for doing video games. I don't think their structure for like taking feedback. I don't think their player base is very developed over there.
Did you guys hear did you guys see the whole like Korea drama where it was like one of the GMs or somebody that worked for PA Korea was like directly asking specific streamer players for feedback they think should be added to the game and was apparently catering to them, and there was like a big blow up about it on the Korean Bdo forums, and that person was like fired, was like terminated.
I mean, they terminated them because of the public outlash. They didn't terminate them because they didn't like the activity.
The outlash.
Yeah, like they. For people don't know, they have people who watch your stream, like watch streams, monitor social media for feedback, and then compile that into a report to give to the developers. It's like one of the areas of the Korean developer team feedback. Like, so basically they have like a GM team that says like, hey, what are the problems that are showing up on the forums? What are the problems people are talking about? And they take it from each region and it gets translated, and then they compile that into a list, and they also take feedback from streamers and Reddit. Again, and the reason you know this as a streamer, myself, and Curry, you've probably seen this, is there'll be like this brand new guy, he's like, brand new account, day one on Twitch, somehow finds his way on the Twitch, my stream, right, not followed, and he's like, hey, what do you think about, like, the new class? Do you think the new class is good? Like, how did you find me? Like, this is your first day on Twitch? How did you get here? And it just happens over and over again that these day one accounts keep asking about it, And,
yeah, we talked about that we did that. We talked about that 3+ years ago. Yeah. Remember when we were like, wow, this random new guy, I've never seen his name in the community, asking me a really specific question about the newest content that just dropped. Yep. That's really.
And it would make a lot more sense with like Twitch drops or something like that, right? Because you'd have a lot of people making accounts and stuff to come over, but it wasn't before we even had Twitch drops that stuff was happening. And we actually have people who went over to Pearl Abyss before Pearl Abyss took over publishing, like Blade and a lot of other people.
Yeah, they got shipped over. That was crazy. That was nuts.
And all those people came back with like NDAs, right? That they couldn't talk about
Couldn't
stuff.
say nothing.
Yep. And like the same thing. Like they reiterated that like they have. You'd be really surprised about how like I think we're talking
how attentive they are on the streams.
Yep, how attentive they are to that kind of stuff. And it's just, and that's what the modern, that's like if you watch like a GDC, which is Game Developer Talks. Basically, a lot of them will say like leveraging social media to get feedback for your game is like a really strong way of getting feedback. So it's like the problem is that if you're taking feedback from streamers, you have to see that through the prism of like, does that streamer understand game development? Do they have, is a streamer like a hardcore player? Like if you ask Choice about Zerker, what class needs buffs, he's going to say Zerker every single time because he's a Zerker main, right? He loves doing PvP, so he's going to ask for Zerker PvP buffs. So he's going to ask for Zerker Waking to have longer range abilities and do more DPS and have more animation cancels. And guess what they're giving Zerker? Longer range on his awakening and more DPS and exactly what Choice asked for. Like to the T. To the T.
A little strong.
So anyway, I talked too much on that, but
yes, but yeah, they basically were like the Korean community basically kind of outroared and was like, oh, they care more about streamer opinion than regular player opinion, blah 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 blah.
Well, the regular player isn't also the person that plays like 30,000 hours either, though. So it's like, as much as I agree, there should be people that play a lot that also feedback. Your casual isn't going to be the same as someone that's put in the thousands of hours of research. Well, but I don't think streamers are always right either. Streamers are not always right.
No, they're not. Definitely
Trust
not.
Me, don't ever ask me a question about PvP because I ain't going to be able to answer. What do you think about PvP? I think it should be better.
Like I always try to my goal is always to make the game better because if the game is better, there's more people playing it. If there's more people playing it, there's more people to watch my stream, and that directly benefits me. As far as being a streamer is my main income. So like, yeah, I want the game to be a better place, but I'm not the best person to ask for that. I'm not a game developer. Like I don't know, the inner workings of Pearl Abyss and like how they do things and their culture and like, how many developers did they take off of BDO to put on the Crimson Desert? How many developers did they take off BDO Mobile to put them on Dukev, right? Like I don't know, but like I can tell you that like there's things going on internally that are definitely influencing the game's ability to create content. So anyway, to change topics a little bit, what is the rework that you're looking forward to the most?
Her?
I'm not really looking forward to play any of the reworks, but the rework I'm most like kind of excited to see has been Musa, just because like back in the day, Musa was the best class. Like it was the class, hands down. It wasn't even close. Just like back during the Rising Storm spam meta, the whole I will grind 2 Gahaz rotations in the time that you grind 1, just like the olden days, right? Of like Musas being super prevalent back in the day, and then they just kind of vanished. But his rework has been really good to him, and it's looking like it's coming together to be really good. So I'm curious to see how many people start playing Musa again, because there's a lot of people that's like, oh, Musa's my favorite class, and it was my first class, but I don't play it because it hasn't been good for a while.
I actually wonder how many of those people are like nostalgia, right? They're like, I love Musa, and then they haven't played him in like 3 years, and it's just, nostalgia just like ruined them. It's like rosy sunglasses right now.
I can't imagine what it's gonna be like to play a class that like fell out, like Musa, and then like just have to sit here and tag another class and wait for your class to come back.
Or the people that have been powering through and still playing Musa, like Smash, that poor man, and then they get their buff.
Yeah. I'm excited for Zerker. It looks like Looks like a lot of stuff I didn't even think I even needed, and now it's like, dang, it looks pretty good for Awakening. Succession, I there's a lot of Succession Zerkers really upset. I like the changes. I understand a lot of the people's feedback and frustration that they're not really addressing some of the problems with Succession Zerker from the PvPers mindset. From PvE, it looks pretty good, but some of the people that were playing Awakening on the global were like, no, Zerker Awakening is going to be way better than Succession, and I'm just like thinking, I don't know, man. Like, they give us full crit. We've got a lot of buffs now. Like, everything looks really strong. So, I mean, I had zero expectations and everything looks fine. So I'm happy as long as I'm getting stronger, I guess, like with everybody else, right? But the big thing I'm looking forward to is Mage Awakening Wizard rework, because it looks like it's going to be really, really cool and strong, and I want to play a classic and heal, have red orb, different stuff for like group grind utility purposes in the future. Because I think that's where the game's going to go, is more towards group grinding utility grinders. So, going to be tagging that and eventually hoping it's really strong.
I really like the Zerker animation changes for the Succession, right? Basically, when he does his Lava Piercer, he runs like on all fours like a werewolf man or something like that.
I love it. Thematically, Zerker Succession is going to be just I already love the stuff they've already done with it, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. Musa, the AoEs seem insane on Musa. I forgot to mention that, but I think the AoEs
his PvE, his PvE is like really good, dude. He had like a really good pull skill now. Just overall increased damage. The projections are coded as summons, so they scale with his AP now.
Oh.
Those little fiery waves he launches out, they're considered pets. So they scale with AP now on the global labs in terms of PvE, and it's really dang good.
Are they fixing the accuracy scaling of pets, or is it just AP scaling?
I don't know if they've touched the accuracy personally.
Okay. I'm really curious to see what that does.
Yeah, they haven't said anything in the patch notes about it, so I'd imagine it's still the same, 50%.
The class I'm most decided to play that's getting reworked is probably Kuno Awakening. I've always enjoyed Kuno Awakening, but it didn't have the damage that I wanted it to, and some of the animations I thought were like a little clunky. Mainly the mobility. Mainly the mobility combos were like really frustrating, because you had like this one, you had 4 different mobility skills, and you had to do ability A into ability B into ability C into ability D, and if you do any other order other than that precise order, then it does not work for the combo. So I'm really curious to see what Kuno Awakening is. Really excited. Hopefully it has a little bit better DPS. So I'm looking forward to playing that. That's the class I'm looking forward to playing the most. The class
Kuno Awakening is really good right now, so you're gonna be pretty excited. It's like, in terms of like overall classes that have been really nicely improved on reworks, Kuno is definitely top 5. Like Awakening Kuno has gotten everything, better mobility, better damage, some help with cooldowns. Kuno in general with this rework is looking really dang good.
Yeah,
like I've never seen Frosty happier. I've never seen that man happier ever.
Grinning from ear
so
to ear.
happy. Yes, bro. I've never seen so Frosty happier than like with like all these things they're doing with the Kuno rework. So that's good to see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually giving that a run. The class I think visually that actually feels like the most like a actual rework is Tamer. Tamer Succession is the one I think, as far as reworks are concerned, is the one I'm most excited for. I'm not sure if I'll play it a ton, but I definitely want to try it a little bit, because I've always thought it'd be really cool to ride Hellion around, do DPS, and like fight mobs and stuff. And it's always been like, I've always been disappointed with how that worked out in the game. So I have 1,000 skill points in my Tamer now. It's 61. And I'm ready to try out the Succession Tamer when it goes live to see about that one.
I hope they keep tweaking it, because the way it's been so far with the mounted Heilang stuff, the first week they did some tweaks to the mounted Heilang stuff, and then ever since then they haven't touched it in the last like 2 months that they've been doing the rework stuff. So I'm really curious to see like if they're going to touch it up more, or if it's already at the state they wanted it.
Yeah,
so I'm curious to see what they add the next couple weeks. They still got like 3 weeks till the Heidel Ball, and I know they'll probably want to have it out around at like the week or 2 weeks after the Heidel Ball.
Yeah, I would like to see like Hellion in particular. I want to be able to auto path on Hellion. I want to auto run on Hellion. I want to be able to sprint on Hellion, but not take stamina. That's That's why I think those would all be like really, really necessary
So
changes.
the biggest thing that's keeping Hei Lang mounted combat from working is when you're mounted on Hei Lang, you have no protections, right? So you basically eat all the damage straight to your face. And if you ever go in, you kind of just insta die, right? Because you don't have frontal guards, you don't have like supers, things like that. So I think one of the biggest things they could do to bring it into relevance and make it viable is while you're riding Hei Lang, you have, like 20% damage reduction, something like that. And make a way for you to insta mount onto Hei Lang. Like press a button and my character just hops on Hei Lang.
You need to hop on
right?
Helling like it
Without
hops on
any
a
delay.
horse. You don't need to make him like command the sit or whatever it is first, like or stay. It needs to be just like a horse.
Yeah, they did that with
yeah?
they did that with the rework. Yeah, you don't have to do the command stay, but it still has the whole like setting of like putting your weapon away, then you hop on it, right? Where it's like not really realistic in a mid combat thing. But it would be nice if they could just you could just press one button and you instantly just hop on Hei Lang like mid combat. I think that would make it like viable, but currently you just take so much fucking damage, dude.
Are there any other good reworks that that need an honorable mention?
Archer's rework has been really freaking good so far. They Archers had one of the best, even and also Rangers also had one of the best reworks.
Ranger,
so I think
feel like
both of those are going to be looking pretty good.
Ranger makes sense to me because they spent so much time on Ranger, right? They spent like weeks and weeks and weeks on Ranger for the presentation and everything. So it makes sense that Ranger would be like really, really good. I feel like all the other ones they kind of rushed.
Ranger and Archer is going to be really dang good.
Okay. I'll have to give those a check.
Yeah, but the majority of the reworks are pretty dang interesting, I will say. Obviously, some classes got less than others, but some classes need less than others. It's more so just like the really big anomaly is that like Striker getting the best rework when arguably he needed the least out of every class.
I think,
to be honest.
Well, for Striker, I feel like well, since JSOC, which is the lead game designer, plays Striker, it only makes sense that he would receive the biggest rework. Because he had a Striker on his PC when they were doing the dungeon interview. He had like a Striker up on his PC, and he's like the lead game designer. So I really feel like it's because he plays Striker that Striker gets a lot of this stuff. I really do. He just keeps on buffing him. What else was I going to ask in here? You guys feel like they're rushing reworks?
I feel like they could take more time.
Yeah,
I think I
definitely. I personally think they should like take as much time as they need because it's one of those things where it's like they can say once it gets to live they're gonna keep working and tweaking it, but we know how that works, right? They'll release it and then they might do one balancing patch every like May of every year or March every year. So I personally would rather they just take their time with the reworks, get it right, and then like. We go from there.
Are there any?
So I'm not really in a rush.
Are there any reworks in that they should like delay and like not like intentionally release the whole bulk of them, but a few of them keep behind and keep on working on? That come to mind?
I think a little more time could go into the Witch Wizard reworks for sure to kind of give them their own solo identity from each other. I definitely think a little more time could go into that. Definitely some more of. I would definitely like to see them work on the Hei Lang mounted combat stuff some more because that's like a really like cool concept of the game that they could make like really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, I'm trying to think of like what other reworks that might just need to be overall delayed. Maybe Maewa. Like the Maewa one is kind of weird because like they gave her like she does a shit ton of damage now, but I know that's not really what the player base wanted. I don't know.
Need people to get in and play them against each other and see what happens with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the biggest thing with the reworks is like we can test them on global labs all we want, but at the end of the day, we won't really know how things are going to perform until they actually hit live servers, right? Like it's just like with the successions where people were saying that Warrior Succession is dog shit and it's not good. Well, then it hit live server, and then Succession Warrior and Succession Ranger became the two best grinders in the game for a month before they nerfed them. So it's like I think Global Labs is really good for kind of getting an idea, but we can only test so much on Global Labs, and we won't really know how things are going to 100% shake out until they hit the live game. You know?
Yeah. Plus, there's so many patches to look through at this point. It's not like one patch to look at. There's like 7 or something
Exactly,
like that. So it's a
right?
little hard to keep track of what's actually changed. Well, I think that's about it for BDO stuff. Is there anything else BDO wise that you guys wanted to talk about? I can't think of anything else.
I love BDO. Can't wait till I get this merch ring.
Well, we have some other news we can talk about real briefly before we wrap things up. Then we have Blizzard has a bazillion one issues. Bobby told somebody he's going to kill them if they talk about their sexual harassment.
Oh no! Really? What the fuck?
Yeah, some person who was in the office. He said, "I will kill you if you talk about this" or something. That's an allegation, of course. Not no.
Oh no, dude.
Actually, I don't think it's even an allegation. I think he actually had an open apology that what he said was was in ill intent or something like that. He made some apology for it.
Has Blizzard had any good PR in the last like couple months? I can't think of one thing that was good.
Jen O'Neill, I think we talked about that maybe last time. Jen O'Neill quit, and she left because she did not believe that the Blizzard culture was getting better, and she was the first female in a leadership role of one of the lead companies in Activision. So she was the head of Blizzard, a co-lead of Blizzard. So she's quit. I don't know. This is more and more bad press. So apparently Xbox and Sony are thinking about not doing business with Activision for a little while until they clean up their game. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. You'll have to read more into what exactly that is because I didn't get the full story on that. Anyway, they have a whole bunch of bad stuff going on, but the Blizzard bad news saga has been at this point about a half a year journey.
Dude, I literally cannot think of any good like
being a Blizzard fanboy is not a good position to be in right now.
No, dude.
I think the Diablo 4 team is doing a good job. I actually do. I think they're doing an okay job. Like for the mess that the company's in right now, and all the gloom and doom around, that's like the one beacon of kind of light at the end. I feel like
you got Heroes of the Storm, which they completely abandoned and took away all the like college program PvP. Like they were doing all these tournaments. They took all that. The card game Hearthstone, the only good mode is the side game mode, not even the main mode, and it's a hyper pay to win card game. World of Warcraft has had some of the worst expansions in a row post Legion because it was so good, and it's just absolute garbage. And then Classic is like. It's classic. It's a relaunch of a game that people have nostalgia and rose-tinted goggles for. And then Diablo 3 was really, really bad comparing it to like Diablo 2 and stuff. But
I was really surprised about how bad the launch was for it. The gameplay was pretty good, but the servers were just so garbage.
Everything about it was just like not the same Diablo. And then you got what else? StarCraft. What's that game? You ever heard of that game before? I never heard of that.
StarCraft 2.
What's that game? No?
Honestly, dude,
I play the old StarCraft 1 in Korea because it's the only good version of the game.
I think that I know this also might be like a not popular opinion, but I think that the only reason they even revealed Diablo 4 was because of the backlash from that like Hong Kong drama that they had.
Don't you guys have phones? They had
I don't even think they even wanted to like reveal Diablo.
They canceled BlizzCon this year.
PR thing.
I honestly would just like if they just gave Diablo 4 to a different company and let them make it because that's the only thing that I think people would like. I don't want to play any Blizzard games. I don't want to do anything that promotes Blizzard in any way. I feel bad for the game developers and the average working coder. You know, sucks to be them that they're working for a company that sucks, but they just should not work for some company that sucks.
Wait, really? They canceled BlizzCon?
Yeah, I heard they canceled BlizzCon. Because they don't have anything
It
to
only
announce.
take the first week of November. It's out. Yeah, it's
Damn.
done.
It's like why are they supposed to have announced like Overwatch 2 for the third time, Blizzard
and
Diablo 4 for the
Overwatch,
fourth time.
jeez. Let's make Overwatch 2 the same game, but the same game. But the same game. We'll make them repay for it. Also, World of Warcraft had a $15 a month sub over the last 2 to 3 years is kind of a joke too, because it's like you're not getting $15 worth of content. I'd say back in the day you were getting $15 worth of content. Nowadays you're getting even close to $15 worth of content. You get a content patch every like 6 to 9 months, and it's not even that good. And they don't even listen to the community. Nothing's balanced. Nothing's well done and well. It's just a
Feels
horrible mess.
Blizzard, man.
Yeah, Blizzard used to be like the paragon company. Like, oh my god, they made all the best games, and everybody loved their games, and they were so awesome. And then all the guys that made this company great kind of retired, sold it off to Activision, and ever since then, it's fucking just it's a toilet. It's a fucking toilet, dude. It's horrible.
Yep.
So sad.
I do think that when Blizzard or Activision is reborn, so to speak, and comes from the ashes, there's a chance that it's gonna, be a better place to be, right?
I think Riot's going to be the new Blizzard.
I feel like Riot's taking over the world, dude.
They got the MOBA, they got the TFT, they got the Auto Chest, which is so good. If you haven't played the set of Auto Chest, the TFT, it's so good. They got the MMO coming out, they got the fighting game, they got the fucking the actual series on Netflix was apparently so good. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it.
Yeah,
but
it's so good. Please
everybody's-
watch it.
Oh my god! And it's like, man, even Blizzard couldn't even get their shows right. Like, could you imagine if Blizzard made like a television show of any other video games narratives just in a movie form? They already had the best cinematics, which were also done by some other group of people in another country. Like, they just paid like some Chinese team to make those cinematics, so it wasn't even them that did it. And it's like Riot just is like popping off on every game format. Valorant, as you could complain about all you want, it's a really fun game. I genuinely enjoyed Valorant. They're doing fantastic. All they have to nail is the MMO. That's all they got to nail, because League of Legends is already popular.
Well, and you know what? Like, Ghostcrawler is the one who's in charge of the MMO, and he's the one who made League what it is today. His portfolio is insane. He literally was in Age of Empires 2, helped make Age of Mythology, I believe. Like, then went on to work for World of Warcraft.
So good.
And like
Age of Empires 2, I played it recently. So good. Oh my god.
Like, and he helped like balance some of the best expansions ever for World of Warcraft. And then he goes on to work for League of Legends, and League of Legends then goes on to have like, some of the World Championship series. Then he gets moved from that to the Riot Games world building section. So he starts world building. He's the one who sets up the world for like the Arcane series, right? He starts setting up the world for that. And now he's moving on to the MMO side. Like, if anybody can make an MMO, like, I think it's him, right? Like, he's the one guy. Like, a lot of people think that he's done a lot of bad in a lot of different games, and there's some things I'm sure he's made mistakes in the past, right? But I mean,
dude, they also have the lead quest designer from Witcher 3 as their quest designer for the Riot MMO. Yeah, they have the lead quest designer from The Witcher 3.
I'm so excited.
Quest designer.
I'm so excited to like eventually play that game. That's like my dream right now, is to become a big enough content creator that I can stream the Riot Games MMO when it comes out. It's like
I will say, like, I don't know, dude. It's kind of crazy how they've come out of nowhere with all these products. Even like last week, they came out with this new like. I think it's called The Ruin King, and it's like a turn-based League of Legends game, right? With like some of the League of Legends characters, and it's like a turn-based like RPG kind. Right? Yeah, it's like you have turn-based combat, and it's like you have some of the lore from it's like set in the League of Legends world. I think Reekwater, I think, is the region.
Their lore and everything's top notch. What they need to nail at the MMO is the combat style. I don't know if anybody can do tab target 1, 2, 3, 4 MMOs anymore that'll actually be successable, other than like stuff that's already got an ingrained community like WoW or Final Fantasy. I honestly feel like, man, if they made a game that was League of Legends, like League style, like League lore with like BDO style of combat, oh man.
I think like for the MMO, like you said, like when you say combat, I really feel like what I hear is they need something that makes it feel exciting to play. And like,
exciting now.
I think it can be like the League of Legends playstyle, right? I think it can be that, but you'd have to be like create your own character, right? It'd have to be like choose your race, which then determines your start zone, which then determines what characteristics you're strong with, and then you get to pick your own abilities and like harness those. And like that could come from different weapons, different auras, and like it could be like build your own character. So you have a very boring character, like actually like as far as your abilities go, but the complexity comes in how you build him and how you create him.
Depending on
Dude,
how they
I
do
am tired of being tied to just humans and elves, okay? Jesus, bro. Please give us something different, some kind of different, like, I don't even know. But I'm tired of, like, all these games, we just got humans and elves. Just give us something different.
They actually just came out on League of Legends with a build your own Runeterra character, which I think
I saw that.
I think that offers a pretty good insight into like how they're. And I guess I there's so many things that they do in League of Legends where it's like testing grounds for like what would be cool in MMO. Like they have so many game modes where it's like ultra fast ultimate abilities, right? What would it be like to have a PvP arena where the arena shrunk down? What would it be like to have a what would it be like to build your own character? And like, it seems like to me that they're using these special game modes in League as like a playtest for like what they should do in their MMO, and like what people like and what people don't like.
Yeah, they've nailed everything, and I just honestly, this is the last one. This is it. I'm turning into a WoW fanboy to a Riot fanboy. I got to take down all my WoW posters and replace them with Riot fan art and Riot posters. Because
start buying that Riot merch.
I gotta figure out how to change my mental perspective in League of Legends, because if that's gonna be the game everybody's gonna be playing for 20 years, and well, I gotta not stop getting mad at dying.
I don't know about that, dude. I think League of Legends it's safe to stay as a game that you watch but don't play. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
I actually think one of the challenges that Riot has going forward is making people think when they think League of Legends, they think Legends of Runeterra, right? Or they think like another game. Because right now, when everyone watched Arcane, they didn't go and play their new card game, right? They went and played League of Legends, and I think that's going to be the challenge for them is figuring out how to make where
get
people
them off a league and get them into the MMO,
right? Where people see it as a IP instead of seeing it as like when you think of Mario, you think of your favorite Mario game, right? You don't think of Mario 3 or
Mario
something.
64,
Yeah.
maybe.
You think of your favorite game, and I think that's what Riot kind of needs to do with Legends of Runeterra. Is when you think of the world that Arcane is set in, you need to think of like what your favorite experience was. So I think that's a big challenge that they have up for them. So I'm really excited though to play the new Riot Games MMO. Like I have genuinely thought like when I'm not streaming and stuff, I've genuinely thought like, man, maybe I should just like figure out to take like some entry level job at Riot Games and like because I just want to be a part of the creation of the MMO just about because it's gonna be such a cool one. I want to be part of the team that says like I was the guy who tested that zombie over there in the corner. What else do we have here? We have Darkest Dungeon 2, the early alpha or early release came out.
Yeah, I watched Moro play it a little bit. It looked pretty fun, honestly.
The new game seems a lot more polished from a like player perspective, but it also seems way too easy. Like it's not. It seems like it's really, really easy to play, but that might just be a factor of it just being early access.
You definitely can tell they made a shit ton of money on Darkest Dungeon 1 because they really
went wild with 2.
Yeah, they really stepped up their art style and like the animations and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of went all out.
It's so interesting games like this game and Dark Souls because it's like, man, every game is always like you got a million lives, you can always restart, there's save points, there's everything, and then you get a game like Dark Souls and it's all hard. It's all hard all the time, and you're suffering, and you're just like this pitiful soul, and you just have to fucking work through it and get better no matter what. And it's like horrible. You're always dying. And then you have like these new games like that in Darkest Dungeon where it's like, okay, everything's just fucking miserable. It's all about losing and just coming out with the best profit you can. It's like the Oregon Trail, but like just actually like dark now, not like realistic like human stuff. Like it's so interesting, these like darker style hard games, and it's just like going into Darkest Dungeon, I was like, why am I always just like dying? Why does everybody go insane? Why is everybody like this whole point to lose and get mad at the game? Like, oh my god, like, and then you get it, and then eventually you can like kind of win, and it's like, okay, oh
Yeah.
man, this is such a new style of mental with video games. it's so odd.
I like that, like because I feel like there was a big gap where all games kind of felt the same for a long time, where it was all about this like rewarding the player for just being a good boy. And I like some of these games like Dark Souls and stuff that are coming out, and they're not necessarily for me, but that's fine. But they're kind of like that reward for you get punished and punished and punished and punished until you figure out what it is, and then you're like, oh, and then the satisfaction you get after beating that, having that oh yeah moment, and you beat it. This feels so good.
Yeah, it's like actually bringing the rewarding sense of a video game back. Like, because back in the day, I mean, these games are all based off of like, you put your quarter in, you have a life, and then you run out of lives, and then you got to put more quarters in, or you just run out and quit. Whereas like every game then went from that to like, okay, everything has a save point. And it's like, where's the reward? You know, you just play through the story, and it's easy mode, and you just get it. And then like these new games that don't have a difficulty, they're just hard.
Yeah. I feel like it's
so good.
I definitely feel like there's something that they lost, right? Because there has to be some type of challenge to the player, right? The challenge has to be the game and being the game, or the challenge has to be another player in the game, whether that be PvP or like time trial, or whether that be being the hardest difficulty and unlocking harder difficulties. There has to be something where it's like challenging the player, and it feels like there's so many games nowadays where there is no challenge, and it's just complete the game and get your bumper sticker, so to speak.
Well, that was the craziest thing. Before online gaming, I played every game through easy mode. I never played hard ever. It's like, why would you play hard mode? Why do you just want to lose? Like, the mentality just didn't work for me. I was just like, don't you want to have fun and like enjoy it and like play the game? And it's like, as an adult now, like going through online video games, and it's like, dude, you would never not play it on hard mode, because it's like, what are you, a wimp? You're gonna play on the baby mode? You gotta shove everybody your guts, you know? Like, it's the whole point is like showing off to your friends, like, yeah, I can do the hard mode, you know? It's like, it's so different having the online like meta, you know?
Absolutely, I like it too. Lost Ark Closed Beta happened. Did you guys try that out?
Fantastic. Can't wait for the game. I wanted to play more of it, but I was like, nope, I just need to wait. I just need to wait for the game to come out, because if I was collecting every Makoko seed, I found secrets in the dungeons. I was like, oh my god, I was freaking out. And then I was like,
yeah, there's like hidden walls and like areas you can walk that aren't shown in the minimap.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I was like, wait, why am I doing this? This is a beta. I just need to play it and not collect all the freaking seeds, dude. What am I doing? I was like, oh my god. So I stopped playing it, because I was like, if I keep playing it, I'm just going to want to collect everything, and then it's going to be over, and I'm going to be like, what the heck? So,
what classes did you guys play?
Berserker.
Soul Master.
I tried. Let's see. I tried Gunslinger, the female Gunslinger, and didn't really like it. Then I changed to Paladin. I enjoyed the Paladin a lot. Paladin was pretty fun.
I played Paladin in the first beta, and I was like, this is all right, but I don't know. I need something more. And I played Berserker in the second beta. I was like, oh, shiz, I'm playing Berserker. That's me. That's all me, baby. And apparently it's a really easy class to DPS and PvP in for PvE and PvP. And I was like, all right. Small brain, good play. You know, that's all me. So I'm ready to have some fun. So I'm probably gonna make a Berserker, and then I'll probably make the big hammer class when it comes out, Destroyer.
Dude, the Berserker like transformation is so fucking sick, dude. Where he like goes berserk form, it's so good.
And then it's like literally all attack speed. So like there's builds in Korea where like literally all you do is just sit there and just slam your freaking clicking over and over, and it's just like you're just going ham, and it's like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yeah, and there's like late grain. Like fucking English. Late game, you can like spec into different engraves or whatever they call them, so that you can change the way the class works for you. So basically, there's different paths where you can make it so that the berserk form has like a 80% uptime, right?
Yeah, so you can like literally keep your berserk form for a very, very long time.
Exactly.
Oh my god,
that sounds
and then
fun.
there's like different kinds of like engravements where it's like, okay, you lose access to like your special transformation, but it like supercharges your like your base state. So it's like really cool different ways to like spec. And then there's also like
Wow.
different attributes. It has different attributes on different pieces of gear. So you could spec into more, ability focused, or you could spec into more like your like physical attack focused and things like that. So it's pretty cool. There's a decent bit of diversity, honestly.
I
I'm
feel
very
like
excited to play this game.
for Lost Ark, I feel like that explains so much about why it's a good game because ultimately I feel like a lot of games come down to not giving players enough choice, and a player having enough choice to like choose what build they want to go for, and like
There's
really,
so many builds in this game.
yeah, that's what I like
For
about
each
it.
class. Like and the thing is, it's all balanced too. It's not like one divine build for everybody. I mean, there is if you want to be cookie cutter and plain, right? But yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I
I
like
just
that a
think
lot.
that man, I'm really scared for this game to release. I really hope Pearl Abyss or other games don't try to double release things on this because I as much as I love
Oh, they're
BDO,
going to.
as much as I love BDO, I am going to be playing Lost Ark because it's a brand new IP, brand new game. I'm not gonna like set aside that game to play a new area in BDO as much as I would love to. It's gonna have to sit on hold for a minute because this is a whole new game, a whole new everything. There's so many things to like 100% too, like all the Makoko seeds, all the cards, all the story mode missions. You 100% the zones. Like there's so much like completionist mental stuff in the game. I'm so like, oh no, like this is my worst nightmare because it's my favorite thing kind of deal.
They also do a really good job with like some of the systems that seem simple but aren't. So for example, like the rankings, right? So you obviously have your overall rankings, but then most people will be like, well, if a class is busted in PvP, obviously it's going to be ranked higher. Well, they also have individual class rankings. So it's like, okay, well, you can't really make that excuse because now you know who the top like 50 people are at each individual class and stuff like that. Like it's really they do a really good job of like making rankings and stuff to go for, things like that, and like very completionist with like the Momoko seeds and things like that.
I'm so excited.
So-
And then there's player housing, so you have your own little house that generates stuff for you. And then there's sailing in boats.
Yeah, like
oh
you upgrading your boat and tailoring different kind of boats for different kind of waters, like different areas of the water that you like to be in and things like that. So like you have ships that are better at breaking ice for being up in the north and things like that.
Oh, that sounds cool.
much speciality to this game. I'm very, very excited. I'm very scared and very excited because I know I'm going to be dumping a lot of time into the game, but I'm also scared because like, oh man, I got so much stuff to do.
I'm really hoping that Pearl Abyss kind of wakes up and doesn't fall asleep at the wheel because there's a lot of people that's going to be playing Lost Ark. So
Yeah,
I hope they figure their stuff out before long.
They need to release everything a month before New World comes out, and like a month after. I mean, a month before Lost Ark comes out, and a month after Lost Ark comes out. They need to
I can play it later. And
so you get one full month of this binging Lost Ark, and then BDO says, "Hey, we haven't forgot you. We got some stuff waiting."
You notice how during New World release they didn't do a fishing event, right? They did it was a grind event, right? Event, right? I really hope for Lost Ark they know that they got to do a fishing event and not a drop event.
Yeah, they need to do an AFK event. I feel like I actually think it's so important that I think they should add a new AFK event into the game. They should do like AFK plant gathering or something like that, where you just sit there and like you just
auto touch the grass,
or like they should add like elite mobs in the game where you can AFK gather the meat from them. So you're just like sitting there and you're just like AFK gathering meat, and so you come back and you have a full inventory.
No, dude. What if they like I don't know, do some shit where temporarily there's Kafirs from shoveling in the desert?
Yes,
for like
they should do that. Make it where the energy cost. Make it where the energy cost is like 10 times less, right? Or just no energy cost, and you just AFK.
It's like an AFK dummy, but instead you like plant yourself in the plant spot and just start digging.
Oh, please, they need to do something like that.
That would definitely make people AFK in the game during that week that normally wouldn't.
Yep, 100%. Be like, oh my gosh, they know I want to play Lost Ark.
I really hope. I hope. Oh God.
I don't have anything else going on. You guys have anything else you guys want to talk about?
A lot of people keep asking me what I'm going to do after the merchant ring, thinking like, oh, as soon as I get the merchant ring, I'm just done with the game. I'm going to quit. That's not true. I still like BDO.
What are you thinking about it? You have any plans? I've had a hard time trying to decide.
The main thing I'm focusing on is completing the fragmented Elviad. There's these little fragmented Elviad pieces you collect out of Odalite, and there's 9 pieces. I'm working on that after. I don't know. At this point in the game, I feel like there's no real big gear goals. I'm just kind of working on stuff on the side and just chilling. So, but I like grinding, so it'll happen.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up episode 65 of Nerds and Words. Kerr and Blombeer, what do you guys have going on this week?
Blombeer, you go first.
Grinding for the merchant ring. I am on hour 828 as I speak, and that's about all I got going on. Grinding for that. As soon as we get that, I'm going to take a nice little nap break, probably sleep for 48 hours straight, and then after that, I'm back to the grind. Just chilling and grinding, waiting for Flash Reworks to come out. Super excited about that, and yeah, just chilling.
Kerr, how about you?
So I'm in this little middle ground where like I'm trying to. So like I just got back from LA last night at like I got home at like 10:30. So I'm still trying to kind of get back into the swing of regular shiz. But I don't know what I want to do, dude. I'm currently in a weird spot. I'm probably just gonna start going for C20 armors just to give myself something to do. I also feel like I might, if I don't do it now, I'm kind of gonna be screwed because with my luck, they'll like announce Fallen God helmet again, and we'll go back up to 60k pre-orders like we did last year whenever they announced Fallen God armor. So I'm probably just gonna bang that out, yeah. And then I want to try to put together some kind of community event where it's like, so you remember the Black Spirit League that they used to have where it was like a weekly circuit PvP thing and like it was like something that people had to look forward to on like Saturdays and Sundays. I really would like to look into the logistics of putting something like that together.
It's a lot of work, unless you want to keep it casual.
So I'm gonna look into it, and obviously it's gonna be on like trials, if anything, because like I don't think we had trials at the time back then. So we'll see.
All right, sounds pretty good. For me, I plan on stream BDO. I'm going to be making a new YouTube video on the my favorite class reworks that I'm predicting are going to be good. So I'm going to be taking your guys' input from the podcast today for a few of those. That's about it for me. I've been playing on getting Corsair 62. She's currently 89% or 88.9% towards 62. So we're going to finish up that this day. Then we're going to be making a pin Dragon Slayer. I have 1,000 repair materials right now for a Dragon Slayer, which is about 30 billion in memory fragments. So thank goodness.
Jesus.
So that I can pretty easily make a pin Dragon Slayer with that. So we're going to be enhancing that probably later tonight. That's about it.
That's actually a good idea because I've been thinking like, how am I going to push like, because I need to push like another 200 stack. And with memory fragments being so high, it's not really worth it. Maybe.
Yep.
Maybe, yeah, you might be onto something. It might be worth to just like enhance a Dragon Slayer with all the little green, like all the little purple residue we have sitting around for fail stacks.
I did the basic math on it. It's about 500 to maybe 1 billion to make a pin Dragon Slayer. And then it sells for 7 bill. So you make 6 bill profit on it. And then on top of a 6 bill profit, you can make a 200 stack into a 250 stack, which is perfect for a pin accessory or Fallen God. So that's what's going on here. Blonde Bear, thank you so much for joining us for Nerds and Words, episode 65. I'm so happy we were able to do this today. Kerr, thank you also for being here. Big shout out to both of you guys. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us, everyone.